plus RBI in the 8th inning. Laird's a guy that can really run, and watch especially tonight with Dylan Overton, the way that he falls off the mound. If Laird tries to bunt, kind of take one with him and get on the easy way. But Laird has been a real pleasant surprise for this LSU team, both defensively and hitting second in this lineup. The guy they'll face is pretty good. Dylan Overton has been very consistent the last 2 years. A left-hander with a fastball, low 90s. You see it 90, 91 at times. But the key for Overton is the ability to use the changeup and the breaking ball. Fastball, when he locates it, is great. The changeup for him is really the equalizer. Doesn't walk too many, just 22 and 86 2/3, and the strikeouts are up there. So if he gets ahead of guys, he can finish him off. Can also get soft contact with that changeup.
Second round draft choice yesterday by the Oakland A's. And Oklahoma would like to set LSU down in a hurry and pick up some base hits with those bats that have been silent so far. McMullen will lead it off, hitting .325, the junior out of Metairie, Louisiana.
So we talked Overton. I think one of the keys is he really does know how to pitch. The left-hander takes an advanced approach when he's out there, fastball in the low 90s. And the cutter is the one thing to watch, especially to right-handed hitters.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Lefty on lefty matchups to start the game. The 1-2 toward the hole at short. Mayfield throws him out, 1 gone.
We saw it right there with Sean McMullen, who was DHing in this one, but pulled a hamstring slightly in the regional. And you see when he gets out of the box right here, McMullen is in there, and when he has to run, he'll run. If he doesn't on a ball like this, he's going to save it for later on in the game. He's not loafing it. That's just making sure that he doesn't tweak that hamstring anymore.
As soon as he saw Mayfield fielded cleanly, there was no sense in exerting himself further down the line. Mark Laird, who drove in the 2nd run last night with a clutch single in the 8th, stands in at .295. Ball and a strike from Dylan Overton. Now 1-2. And that's a base hit into left field over the outstretched glove of Garrett Carey. Kaylee Hartung working with us this weekend here in her hometown. Kaylee, what's it like?
Mike, you know, this is very familiar territory for this LSU baseball team. Just a year ago in this stadium, they took Game 1 against Stony Brook. And what followed were 2 of the most heartbreaking losses in this program's history. Coach Mainieri told his team yesterday, they've got to get their minds right. This cannot be a sense of, if we win this game, we will play in Omaha. The mental thought has to be, we are playing for a championship tonight in the here and now. And he says he thinks this team is mentally ready.
Kaylee, I think the thing that people didn't understand is that Stony Brook was that good. When we saw them in Omaha, that was a talented group of players.
I think people paid a little bit too much attention to what was on the front of Stony Brook's jerseys instead of what was in the stats. And Stony Brook last year was a legitimate Omaha team, and they came in here and beat LSU, and they beat them just because they swung the bats and really hung in there. But this LSU club has obviously bounced back pretty well this year.
Alex Bregman, the National Freshman of the Year, hitting .379, stands in. Bregman out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. They really didn't know how good he was until he got here. And now they know he's really good. And it was a case where he almost didn't come. If he doesn't break a finger in the first game of his senior season and have to have surgery, he's a lock first-round draft choice. doesn't come to college, but because he dropped to the second round because of the injury, he wanted to come to LSU, and they are just delighted. Swung over the top of that throw to first safe.
We've seen
it's gone for the second out of the inning.
And we've seen already from Overton tonight that changeup, and that was it right there. So especially against the right-handed hitters, Overton will go to that changeup and watch this drop down and away from Bregman. So swings at the fastball, changeup dropping away down and away from him. The freshman Anthony Hermelin just about picked Laird off at first base.
Hermelin, called maybe the smartest player in the history of the program, is an exceptional catcher. He's given all sorts of responsibilities that most guys don't get in their freshman year as a receiver. Calls the game when he looks in. That has to do with the running game more than what pitch they want called. Mason Katz, a fourth-round pick of the Cardinals in this year's draft. He is the power on this ball club. 15 home runs, 68 driven in, both number one on the Tigers stat sheet. Projected as a second baseman at the next level. He plays first here. Deep to left, to the wall, and now coming in, Aiken to make the catch. Gave it a ride. Aiken went all the way back to the wall and then came in. No runs, one hit, and Katz put a charge into it.
And when that one came off the bat, I thought that one was going to the seats. When you see the ball come off the bat like that for Katz, especially with the trajectory of that, generally it carries out, and I think Aiken thought it would too, but the freshman goes back, finds the wall, does a good job of coming back in. The wind could have held that ball in too, blowing from left to right field, so it definitely wasn't going to help it right there. Knocked it down enough, and Dylan Overton pitches out of it in the first. Earlier, the stuff is there. Fastball into the mid-90s at times, and so just pure stuff. Ryan Eads has it. Slider is good, changeup is decent, but the slider is definitely his second best pitch over the course of the year. The walks is one thing that stands out. When Eads runs into trouble, he can get inconsistent with that fastball, and that's when he's run into problems. Did not throw the ball well in the regional. Pitching coach Alan Dunn was happy with the work that they did in the last week, and he's confident that Eads will come out and be a different guy than he was just a week ago.
His 8 wins was 7th in the Southeastern Conference this year, and Aiken will lead it off. Craig, the left-handed hitting left fielder. Fastball for a called strike, 1-1. Aiken hitting .286 coming in, and your prototypical leadoff man. Line drive hitter, runs well, and will just fight you every at bat. And that's past the glove of Ibarra. And now you can see what Oklahoma will be able to do with that small ball game that they love.
And like that freshman hitting the top of the lineup too. Aiken leads them in stolen bases with 16, so the speed is definitely there. And Jack Mayfield, who hits second in this lineup, will lay him down too. 7 sack bunts on the year from Mayfield.
I'd like to welcome everybody who's been watching other games on our family of networks, particularly North Carolina State's comeback win over Rice. Congratulations to the Wolfpack on that victory. And you just saw Jack Mayfield lay down a successful sacrifice bunt to get Craig Allen over to second base.
And that's what Oklahoma will do. 76 sack bunts on the season. That number 77 right there. So if Sonny Galloway gets that leadoff hitter on, even here in the first inning, they'll bunt him across and try to set it up for Max White, the senior, and Matt Oberste behind it.
White, one of only 2 300 hitters in this lineup. Oberste is the next one. Now you've got a runner in scoring position. You've got to produce. And of what we saw of Oberste last night, he's not going to get anything to swing at if I'm pitching to him.
No, I agree. I mean, there are times where you circle the guy in the lineup and say this is the one that isn't going to beat us. And for Oklahoma, Matt Oberste is that guy. Now, Max White can hurt you. The senior who has played in Omaha, was there the last time Oklahoma went to the College World Series. But Oberste's numbers are just that much better than everybody else this year.
He just looked different when he stood in the box than every other hitter they had.
I'll tell you the other thing too is these guys are all coming off of the draft, and so they're all waiting to see if their names have been called. And for a lot of them, their minds are a little bit different than they were 2 days ago. And I think it makes you feel a little bit different when you're up at the plate than when the draft is now out of the way.
White ahead in the count, 2-0. 3 balls and no strikes. And of course, with the instant communications we have now, we saw guys in the dugout being told they'd just been drafted.
And that's the one thing that we can get into as the season goes, or as the game goes on. I think it's unfair the way the draft is. I mean, there was guys on the field today in earlier games that were drafted literally as they were standing in the field in one of the most important college games they've ever played in.
3-0 is on the corner for a called strike to Max White, the senior from Durant, Oklahoma. Runner at second, 1 out if you just joined us. We're in the bottom of the first. Swing and a miss, 3-2.
Early in the game, but best fastball we've seen right there from Eads. Part of it was location, part of it was velocity, but a lot of it was just how he let it go. He really finished that one, had good late movement that just got right past White in a 3-1 count. So he's looking fastball there, and Eads still got a bind.
Here's the payoff pitch. In the air to right center. That's going to get down. Here comes the throw to the infield. And it's 1-0 Oklahoma.
Senior coming through there. Senior coming through there in that spot.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure Laird saw that ball off the bat.
I agree with you, but look at the base running too. So Craig Aiken, the freshman, freezes. Laird gets over to her. Excuse me, Foster gets over to it. But here's the key. When Foster overthrows Jacoby Jones, there's no chance to throw Aiken out at home plate. His first movement was back to second base. If this ball goes in from Foster to Jones, they've got to play at Aiken at home plate. But the minute he overthrows the second baseman, no chance to throw Aiken out. No, you takes the lead.
Now Oberste stands in with a runner at first, 1 out and 1 home. Off the bat, I thought that was a catchable ball.
And remember, Jared Foster did not start in right field last night. It was Laird in right field, and it was Stevenson in center field. So out there for the first time, and the first step, well, there wasn't much of a first step. He kind of froze on that, waited for the ball to come to him.
The wind is a factor. May have held up a home run ball on the top of the first. And certainly pushed that one toward right. Oberste, a 7th round choice of the Mets. And he was impressive in his at-bats last night. He has been impressive all year. The numbers he put up, when you consider there's only 2 300 hitters in the lineup for this club. He had 377, 11 home runs, and 60 RBIs. 60 RBIs in college baseball is a huge number.
And what else is a big number is a 30-game hit streak he went on during the course of the season, too. So Oberste can swing it.
One out, one on, bottom of the first. Didn't catch up to a fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Got to be careful with that one today, because that elevated fastball, if Oberste gets to it and has backspin out to right field, it's going to ride that wind right out of here.
White at first is a threat to run with 9 stolen bases. Hit hard on the ground to the third baseman Ibarra to second for 1 to first. Double play for the slick fielding LSU defense. And they get out of the first but surrender a run as Oklahoma takes a 1-0 lead. You're watching the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals presented by Capital One. Top of the second, 1-0. I thought golf umbrellas were big.
Yeah, they got you trumped there. Not 1 but 2 either. 1 wasn't enough.
Weather could be an issue today. Before the game started, we had a lightning strike about 10 miles away. If lightning is detected within 8 miles, the game has to be stopped for at least 30 minutes. So we're hoping it's just going north of Baton Rouge and will escape. Nobody on the East Coast is going to feel bad for us. And LSU will start the second inning with a base hit off the bat of Rafe Rhymes. Rhymes, the player of the year a year ago, just put up enormous numbers. His batting average still in the mid 300s, but down 100 points from last season.
Still not a bad spot to be for Rhymes. First pitch slider right there, and he was sitting on it. Let's see how aggressive LSU is too. I think this is one to where if they think they're going to get a first pitch to handle from Overton, they're going to be hacking early.
Ibarra stands in and chases one down around his ankles. Ibarra drafted late today. It was the 32nd round by the Pirates. He was a heralded high school prospect as a shortstop, and he squares around to bunt. Nice sacrifice. They'll throw him out and get a runner in the scoring position. Rhymes advances to second. And in our bracket, let's get you up to date. North Carolina leads it 1-0 as they beat South Carolina this afternoon. Rice has just beaten North Carolina State. Cal State Fullerton, UCLA tonight. And of course, we're here in Baton Rouge for game 2 of this super region. Now they're going to leave it up to Jacoby Jones, who had the big hit last night. Started the 8th inning with his first triple of the year. It turned out to be the winning run. And he drills it right back up the middle. Max White is going to come up, throwing toward the plate. A high throw that missed the cutoff man. The run scores. And once again, the big hit from Jacoby Jones, an RBI single.
He is some kind of talented. When Jones gets it going, he can really throw a team on his back. And I know he hasn't done it consistently this year, but Jones has been heating up over the last month or so. Again, first pitch, and that's what we saw from Rhymes. Ibarra swung at the first pitch, and now Jones does right here too. Fastball down in the zone, leans on it out towards center field, and then Max White overthrows a cutoff man. So when that happens, Jones out to second, takes a double play out order, and now we'll see Ty Ross.
When we left the stadium last night, you were just singing the praises of Jacoby Jones. You think he's got a great future,
From
don't you?
a talent standpoint, it's off the charts. It is off the charts, and I know that the numbers haven't agreed with it all year this year, but just from pure ability, Jones has it.
Now the catcher, Ty Ross. So LSU wastes no time in answering the Oklahoma run. Ross, another draft choice, 12th today by the Giants. You're seeing the best in college baseball during this tournament. Just one big-time draft choice after another. A lot of guys are going to have a chance to do this for a living. 2 balls, no strikes to Ross. Overton may be a little shaken. You can tell the potential of a guy like a Ty Ross when he's drafted hitting 209.
Yeah, and
they see something.
Well, absolutely. The one thing he can do, he can catch and throw, and that's always going to play well when you get into pro ball. I think
this one foul.
The frustrating thing with Ross, and I think it's been frustrating to coaches, is you see the ability. When this kid gets it, it'll fly. I mean, he could hit a scoreboard if he gets through it. He just hasn't consistently been able to put up the offensive numbers. And from a professional side, if you see something or think you can do something different and get him to hit it all, he'll be able to catch and throw, because he has done that for the last 3 years, and he's done it really, really well.
Even though he's been inconsistent, he has had some big hits for this ball club. Hitting 262 with runners in scoring position, far above his season's average of 209. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Overton isn't fooling anybody yet. They've hit the ball hard. Smoke to left center. It'll be caught. And the runner cannot advance. Second out of the inning. Anything hit to left or left center isn't going anywhere because of that wind.
Just going to knock it down. Here are the draft picks for those that are playing in our game. This days 1 and 2. So Jonathan Gray, Ryan Eads, Dylan Overton. Gray, the 3rd overall pick. Turn the page now, guys that have gone in day 2 and 3. Christian Ibarra, the one to me that is interesting. Rhymes, the senior, goes 15th round. Cotton, the former walk-on, goes 14th round. We just saw Ross. But I bet they get Ibarra back, who's just a junior, and we've seen the importance of getting Rafe Rhymes and Mason Katz back for their senior years. If they get Ibarra back, that's just as good as about any recruit you can go out and find.
Curveball in there to Jared Foster, who gets the start tonight. I mean, you've got guys like Rafe Rhymes, who gave up his scholarship so that they could use that money to sign another player. He wants to get back to Omaha. These guys are team oriented.
Absolutely. And what we've seen is if you have seniors, and it's the same thing with Oklahoma, a guy like Max White and Jack Mayfield, you have seniors playing key roles in your club, it is a giant difference.
Foster hasn't had that many opportunities this year, only 62 at-bats. He's a sophomore out of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Has obvious offensive skills at .333 with runners in scoring position. And he has driven in 11 with only 62 at-bats. Two outs, a runner at second. We're tied at 1. LSU, even though they are playing at Alex Box Stadium, the visiting team tonight. And if there's a game 3, they lost the coin toss, they would be the visiting team tomorrow.
See Jack Mayfield, the senior, shooting signs into Dylan Overton. We've already seen Overton spin and try to pick once, and that's what that sign is, as to whether or not they're going to have a quick inside move or Overton to spin and try to hit Mayfield in stride.
One ball and 2 strikes to the number 9 man in the order, Jared Foster. Jones can run. He's down at second. Popped up. Hermelin, the catcher, makes the play. Oklahoma's first lead of the series didn't last very long. LSU with an immediate answer. It's 1-1. ESPN tomorrow night at 8, a battle of the NL Central. The Red Hot Cardinals against Joey Votto and the Reds. Then on Monday at 7, Eastern rivals square off. David Ortiz and the Red Sox head into the Trop to take on Evan Longoria and the Rays. Both games are on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Weather could be a factor today. We already have the rainbow. In this area of Baton Rouge, we haven't gotten the rain.
Let's just keep it with the rainbow, and that's enough.
I like that.
That would be plenty. We got the rainbow umbrellas already down the left field line. We got the real deal out beyond the right field fence. That's enough. There they are. That's why you brought them. That's why they brought them. We're going to get real popular here pretty quick.
That wouldn't fit in your golf bag, would it?
No.
Bottom of the second, Oklahoma will send up Lorenzana, Hermelin, and Bickerstaff. Two balls and no strikes to Hermelin, who hits the ball to all fields. Going to be their everyday catcher for the next 2 years. Eads falls behind 3-0. And he lost him on 4 pitches.
One thing to watch with Eads, when Eads gets in trouble, is when the front side mechanics start to break down a little bit. He's a guy with a big leg swing, but the leg swing, when it comes all the way back, has to stay in one consistent motion. If it looks like it's kind of robotic to where he starts to lift it and then he starts to turn, that's where he has a real trouble repeating when he goes to home plate, and that's what to watch. When it's nice and easy and smooth, when that leg comes up and he starts to spin, everything usually works okay. If it looks like 2 separate movements, that's where Eads has run into problems this year.
Oklahoma has started each inning by getting the leadoff man on. Hermelin squares to bunt. He has 6 sacrifices on the season, and LSU already action in the bullpen. Fury is up and in a fury getting ready.
That is accurate here. He's not down there just to play catch at this point.
Eads having a tough time with the strike zone. He walked Lorenzana on 4 pitches, now throwing to Hermelin and down 2 balls and no strikes. Already squared the bunt. And the old rule of thumb is if they're trying to give you an out, let them do it.
Absolutely. And there's the fear, and that's the fear right now with Eads. It was his shortest start of the entire season, and it was against Jackson State, which was not exactly an offensive juggernaut. Just 2 1/3. LSU was forced to go to the bullpen early, and that when Kurt McCune came in and threw the ball well. But that is why you see action so early right here with Fury throwing, because it's fresh in everybody's mind at this point. And I know that they're up 1-0, but you don't want to let one get away.
Including fresh in the minds of Eads.
Yeah, that stuff is, as much as people like to say I forgot about it after the last start, a little tougher to forget about.
That bunt will go foul. 2-2. Now, are you so dedicated to the bunt that you'll leave it on with 2 strikes, or you just come back and play baseball?
No, I think you come back and play at this point. We saw South Carolina try to do that earlier today, and it ended up giving an out late in the game. And I know we're not late in the game, we're early in the game right here. But with 2 strikes, I'm going to let him swing away.
And Hermelin's a pretty good hitter, 280. Eads, who fell behind 2-0, now has him at 2-2. And Hermelin lofts this one into right field. Foster is there, and that's, excuse me, Jared Foster is there, and there's one out. Colt Bickerstaff, the left-handed DH out of Mineola, Texas, hitting only .222 this year. And that ball's lined into right. Hit so hard the runner won't be able to advance past second base. Lorenzana will stop there, and Bickerstaff drilled one.
And Bickerstaff is in there because they like to match up against the right-handers. When we talked to Sonny Galloway the other day, against righties, Bickerstaff will play. And first pitch hack and fastball, he got a nice flat swing too. Took it right through the zone, hooked it right into that 4-hole. Lorenzana had to freeze just in case. It was hit so hard he had to stop at second, but runners on first and second for OU. So they score the first run of the Super Regional in the first inning. And now two more runners on here in the second against Eads.
Oklahoma bidding to regain the lead. Hunter Haley, who's been bothered by a bad ankle, gets the start. And he's ahead in the count, 1-0. 268 on the season. Has not played since May 18th. And Eads really having trouble with his control.
Well, one of two things happens right there. A, you get too quick. So you start trying to run it to home plate and your arm lags behind, or B, the baseball gets a little bit wet. And it can be one of those two things. Either one is not ideal. If the ball's wet, it's time to get another one. But if you're too quick to home plate, that's what happens when guys get a little bit too excited. Now it's time to try to slow everything down.
And this has got to be the hardest point in the world, to slow everything down, because your heart rate is up, your mind is racing. Everything tells you to go faster.
And you got two guys on base at a 3-0 count. No, it is. And that's the toughest thing. A lot of things in sports, faster is better. On the mound, so often slower is better, especially when you get in a jam like this.
And you look over your shoulder and there's somebody warming up in the bullpen ready to take your place. That fastball caught the corner. It's 3-1. Two on, only one out here in the Oklahoma second inning. Chopped outside of first, foul. Now we'll have a full count. On Hunter Haley. Rhythmic applause from the LSU fans, trying to help their ball club get out of a jam here in the second. Stabbed by the second baseman, only able to go to first, and just barely got him there. Runners advance to second and third on the fielder's choice.
Sonny Galloway put him in motion right there too. They were running on second and third. Lorenzana was off from second. Bickerstaff was off from first. And what it did is it pinched Jones just a little towards second base. It wasn't a big step, but it was enough to where he almost couldn't get to that ball. Wet track. He spun his wheels a little bit. That little hesitation, that little move towards second base was just about enough to get the ball into right.
And when he looked towards second base to see if he might have a play, that almost cost him.
Absolutely. And that's where pushing the buttons at the right time pays off. Sonny Galloway puts him in motion. At best, it keeps him out of a double play, but at least in this situation, now you got runners on second and third, and it just about allowed that ball to go to right.
2 out, 2 on for the number 9 hitter, Garrett Carey, who has struggled with runners in scoring position this year, hitting only 192.77 overall. Chance to deliver a couple of runs with a base hit here. And Eads trying to get out of a big mess in the second inning. He struggled with his control. He's been hit reasonably hard, and yet he's only given up the 1 run.
And that pitch right there, which he did everything right. He got through it. He threw a fastball on the outside part of the plate, and it was about 2 inches too low. When things are going right, that's a strike. And mentally, things start to get right. Things start to spin out of control, and you look up, and now it's 2-0 again, and you feel in your mind like you just did everything you were supposed to. He finished it. He got out in front of it. It was just a little bit too good, a little bit too low.
There's a breaking pitch out of the zone, 3-0. And you notice Ty Ross looking into the dugout and then checking the wristband he has to know what they want to do.
And they'll flash numbers in there. So a lot of times they'll flash numbers, which would be the pitch count. Ross will look down, and it's kind of like a quarterback's wristband that has plays on it. Numbers indicate the pitch right here. Ross looks down, and then he's ready to go.
4th time he has gone 3-0 on a hitter in the first 2 innings. That fastball is in there. Well, Eads has been living on the edge. He's gotten behind virtually everybody in this inning.
Yeah, and that's why I think even if he gets out of this one, the leash is going to be really short the rest of the way. Fury has been up and throwing for a while. He is obviously ready. If Carey reaches, that's probably it tonight for Eads.
If Carey can keep it going, it's back to the top of the order for Craig Aiken. Check swing popped up, and it'll fall harmlessly. So once again, Eads behind 3-0 comes back to get it to 3-2.
And that one should have been ball 4. That was Carey right there getting a little bit too aggressive, thinking, all right, 3-1 fastball, I could do some damage. The hand started, couldn't hold it up. And now Eads with a chance to get out of this thing.
2 out, 2 on here in the second. A tie game, 1-1 LSU Oklahoma. Here's the payoff pitch. On the ground toward the shortstop, Bregman. Low throw, but a nice scoop by Mason Katz to save it. So LSU shaky all around in that inning, but they give up nothing. They'll strand 2 runners, and we're still tied at 1. Good play by Mason Katz.
Capital One.
We are in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Here's our half of the bracket so far. North Carolina with a 1-0 lead over South Carolina. They beat them earlier today. NC State came back to beat Rice. They lead 1-0. UCLA with a 1-0 lead after their win last night over Cal State Fullerton. Eads thankful to get out of that inning.
Well, and here's a tutorial. That's Alan Dunn right there, who spent about 20 years in the minor leagues in professional baseball before coming back here to LSU 2 years ago. And he is an outstanding pitching coach. And right there, I'm sure they're talking about what they talked about all week, which is pace. Try to get everything moving all at once and not get one thing moving and then something else move. If Eads is consistent and can repeat, he can be really good. That's the challenge, is being able to repeat. That's the key on the mound. If you can do the same thing over and over again, then you've got success 60 feet away.
Back to the top of the order for LSU, and they'll face Dylan Overton here in the third. McMullen pops it up behind the plate. And Hermelin takes care of him on the first pitch. Only 30 pitches thrown so far by Overton through 2 1/3. And somebody read the scouting report, didn't they?
That's his gig. I mean, he'll come right after you, and he does have the ability to repeat. That's the one thing with Overton.
How's that for Laird? 4 for 5 in the Super Regional, sitting 800.
Well, how about where it is, too? A few to right, one to center. The last time up to left. I mean, he's going up there and just hitting it where they throw it to him. You know, when there's certain guys, and I don't think it's easy to do this, but certain guys are comfortable who they are. Others aren't. Guys try to do too much sometimes. Laird's comfortable with who he is. He's not a guy that's going to hit it out of the ballpark. So he's a guy that's going to go up there, give you tough at-bats, just try to barrel it up and line drives somewhere. He just wants to get on base.
And once you realize that, it makes the game a lot easier. It makes your life a lot easier.
It's amazing. I mean, everybody up, especially for guys that get to this point, he's a freshman. And last year when he was in high school, I can guarantee you he hit some home runs.
Yeah.
Because in that setting, that's what happens. But you get to this point, the pitching's a little bit different. You're asked to do different things. Some guys grasp it and embrace it, and other guys try to run away with it. And to me, Laird has done a really good job of understanding who he is. That works.
And that's who he is, a hitting machine, and that's off the right fielder's glove. Laird can fly around second on his way to third. And Oklahoma kicking it around. Hunter Haley went down in the right field corner, hustling after it, had it kicked off his glove to the delight of former LSU coach Skip Bertman. And Laird ends up at third.
It's a great swing by Laird to start it, but remember, Hunter Haley did not start game one, and one of the reasons was because of an ankle injury. It's a wet turf right now, and so it's tougher to slow down. Haley can't quite field it, and Laird the entire time is going. The play's in front of him, so he sees it right there. He doesn't have to turn around, and his mind's made up right away. Will Davis at third base, coach, waving him the entire time. What should have been a single turns into a two-base error in right field, and now Laird on third base with one out.
To bring up Bregman. Second on the club in RBIs this year as a freshman. Bregman, no-nonsense kind of guy. Kaylee Hartung was telling me some guys were yelling at him from the stand saying, great game yesterday. He said, go tell him forget yesterday. This is today.
He is old school as a freshman, and that's the way he's been since he showed up. The kind of guy that tells him to turn the lights on at 10 o'clock in the middle of the week because he wants to come back out and hit. And when a guy swings it like this, you don't mind turning the lights on for him.
Rated as a pure hitter coming out of high school. Played on all the elite travel teams and puts this one into right field, right through the wickets. It looked like it gets Oberste. And it's 2-1 LSU.
So certain times, with just a little bit of rain, it doesn't take a whole lot, can totally change the way the field plays. And watch the way this ball comes off the bat. The minute it hits the turf, how it skips. And I think it got to Oberste a lot quicker than he thought. He's playing about even with the bag. It's a nice short swing by Bregman, just trying to make hard contact. But watch it skip. Bang, bang, and it's on Oberste really quick. He can field over at first base, but that ball got to him a little bit quicker than he thought. Shoots right through the wickets, and now back-to-back errors has helped force one across for LSU.
Bregman reaches on the error. Laird scores. And now the Sooners are going to have to collect themselves after a couple of misplays. Mason Catt stands in. Kaylee Hartung has more on that superstar freshman. Kaylee?
Mike, you know, the last time that I've heard stories of Alex Bregman and his work ethic, it wasn't so much them turning the lights on at Alex box for him, but keeping him on. After their last midweek game of the season, Alex Bregman comes out on the field, fielding ground balls from a team manager, while the local media is still up there finishing their stories in the press box.
And that's the beauty of it. I mean, the kid just showed up like that. It's not like you teach somebody to do that their freshman year. That's just the type of player that he is, and it's not too often you combine that with the kind of talent that Bregman has, and it makes for quite a combination.
You can urge somebody to give extra, and they'll do it sometimes. You can't force total dedication like that. That's inbred. 2 balls and a strike to Mason Katz. Overton misses again, 3-1. What's your mindset as a pitcher when you've had consecutive errors behind you?
Yeah, I think part of it is almost thinking, I got to get these guys another chance, especially in this spot. You got a runner on first base with 1 out, and the easiest way for somebody to erase it is to give them another chance. And if you trust your defense, which I know Overton does, is to try to give them another chance.
3-1 is in there. Katz was on his way to first, didn't like the call. Mason Katz was not drafted as a junior because he told all the scouts, looked like a pretty good call.
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was there. I think Katz might have thought it was up. It was a changeup that it looked like just at the last minute dropped in there.
He told all the scouts, don't bother because I'm coming back from my senior year. We're taking this team to Omaha. This one's popped up off of first base. And Oberste is over there to make the catch in foul territory for the 2nd out. It is probably easier at a program like LSU, which has had such enormous success, particularly in Omaha, to have the culture of guys saying, I'll give up my scholarship money for somebody else, or I'm coming back as a senior. I'm not going to win the pro ball, because they've seen guys do it before them, and they've seen it pay off with the national championship.
You know, and they haven't said it, but you would assume if this team were not to make it to Omaha, it would be the first 4-year run. So first class that they've had since 1986 that wouldn't have made a trip to Omaha. So you know, for guys like Rhymes and Katz, that was in their back of the mind too when they were thinking about coming back.
Rhymes singled and scored his first time up in the 2nd inning. A ball and a strike to Rafe Rhymes. 2 outs. A runner at first and a run home for LSU here in the 3rd inning. It was a single, a 2-base error on the right fielder, and then an error on the first baseman on a ground ball, so the run is unearned. Runner goes, and the throw hits him and off for third. That is going to be a throwing error on the catcher, Hermelin, because it hit the runner. And as soon as it did, Bregman got up and sprinted for third.
And he was going on first movement, so the minute that Overton's legs started to move, it's a guess right there by Bregman. If you guess wrong, they probably throw you out. You guess right and he goes home, you probably steal the base. The minute he hits him, the ball rolls right out in front of him, and Bregman is off to third base. We talked about him offensively. 16th stolen base of the year right there for Bregman, and he's only been thrown out once.
So a stolen base for Bregman, an error on the throw, and allowing him to go to third, the 3rd miscue of the inning. You just can't give a team as good as LSU, who most of the experts regard as the best team in the country, extra chances, because they'll burn you for it.
Especially at home. Especially at home. And then you bring the crowd into it, and we've already heard the crowd. We saw how big of a part they played last night, and they've already started to play a part tonight.
Come out and talk to Overton, and you get the feeling, so what are you coming out talking to me for? I'm not kicking it all over the place.
I'm doing all right out here, thanks.
2-1 to Rafe Rhymes. And until this inning, we had not seen an error in the Super Regional. Both teams had been airtight. That's inside. 3-1. Off speed, caught the corner, 3-2. Be the 20th pitch of this inning coming for Dylan Overton, who had only hit 29 starting the inning. Struck him out on a fastball. So he gets out of it after surrendering a run, 3 errors behind, and top of the order with Aiken, Mayfield, and White for Oklahoma. The third, they may give a class in tailgating down here because these people have it down to a science. The NBA Finals continue tomorrow on ABC. LeBron and the Heat look for the split before the series heads to San Antonio. It's game 2 of the NBA Finals tomorrow at 8 on ABC. Our coverage begins at 7:30 with Kia NBA Countdown.
How about that devotion out there, too? One TV's not enough if we're tailgating. We're going to get as many games on here as we possibly can. They have 3 of them on.
We'll start the third with Craig Aiken, who singled to open the ball game for Oklahoma, trying to bunt his way on. A good one down the third baseline. They're going to let it roll. Boy, nice decision by Ibarra. He knew he had no chance.
We talked about
so you go to your second alternative.
Well, yeah, and at that point, there's no reason not to. I mean, the minute you get to the point to where you know you're not going to make the play, and Ibarra knew it right there. It was almost a perfect bunt by the freshman Aiken. But as he goes right here, it's sitting right on the line, and right about now, Ibarra knows he doesn't have a chance. So if you don't have a chance, why not just wait and see? It just spins foul. That's when you got to grab it as soon as you possibly can. It was about 6 feet away from hitting the bag, but instead, it's strike 1.
And Oklahoma's game is just getting base runners. You get guys aboard, you can do all the little things that make their offense go, with the sacrifice bunts and the hit and runs and the steals. See if Eads can settle down a little bit, because he has been given this 2-1 lead. Nobody up in the bullpen, but Fury may be already ready.
I think this is going to be a 1 base runner deal. If there's a base runner on, they're going to be up and going in a hurry.
Foul away, 2-2. When you were pitching and saw somebody in the bullpen, did you feel extra pressure?
No, I didn't feel extra pressure. I actually got more fired up. I mean, it's when you see it, it makes you think a little bit different, because it's go time now.
2-2 to Aiken. Spoiled it.
But there's a little chess match going on right now in there, too, for Palmineri. And in his mind, he's saying, okay, we're ahead. I want to do everything I can to potentially win this game. But they're thinking about how deep do we go before we use certain guys in this bullpen, because as much as you don't want to, you do have to think about tomorrow.
Sure. On the corner, called strike 3. Aiken didn't like it.
Well, that's one where Eads is trying to throw it to this spot. Watch where Ross sets up. He's trying to go backdoor breaking ball. Ross sets up backdoor breaking ball. We talked about how Ross receives. Watch this. Gets out, and instead of going and getting it, bringing it back, he tries to catch it in the middle of his body. So he moves all the way out there. It's real subtle, but waiting for as long as you can. Catching that ball deep instead of going out and getting it right there, a lot of times can get that call.
Mayfield on a breaking ball takes called strike 1, and that last strikeout pitch never looked, it didn't even go around the plate. Didn't look like it got to it.
No, I don't think that it did, but it helps when you have a guy like that in Ross back behind the plate, because a lot of times, you know, umpires they're swayed by the way that a guy catches it, and there's a time to go get it, and there's a time to let that ball travel as far as you possibly can.
A ball and 2 strikes to Mayfield as he pulled the string on that one.
That's a good sign, because that's the best changeup that Eads has thrown to a right-handed hitter, maybe the first that he's thrown to a right-handed hitter the whole night. And the swing told you everything you needed to know. The arm speed was the same, the velocity was different, and that ball had real good sink.
Wanted a fastball in, that's what he gave him, and it's hit on the line to Jacoby Jones for the second out of the inning. Where's
the fire marshal? They turn him away tonight.
Well, They gave him a seat, I think.
Come on in. We don't need you standing by the door.
It is standing room only. It has been for the entire series. If they play again tomorrow, it will be again. Then why not? Everybody wants to see their Tigers. LSU with an average of attendance of 10,954. They set a record, breaking the 11,000 barrier last night. We haven't been given the official figure tonight, but it's going to be close.
They might back-to-back it here.
Records are made to be broken, but one night.
I mean, and I've seen standing room only before, but I mean, they're standing in the concourse. A lot of times it's out in the outfield. They're lining up down the left field and the right field line in the concourse.
They have led the NCAA in attendance 18 years in a row. If that's not proving yourself, I don't know what is.
That's how you build places like this, too. Yeah. That tends to work.
What did you say this cost?
$40 million was the number that they put on it when they originally put it up, and it is gorgeous.
Yes, it is. 3 balls and a strike to White. Oberste on deck.
You know, it's interesting because a lot of times when guys struggle with the release point and they struggle with being consistent, they miss arm side. So you get a little bit too quick, that arm kind of lags. When Eads misses, he pulls it all the way across. So his misses have been away to the right-handed hitters. Watch where he misses right here. Watch when that front foot gets down. At times, guys go too fast. Where the front foot gets down, their arm lags behind. It's almost like his arm's in front of him sometimes. Front foot gets down, and when he's missed tonight, he's pulled that fastball opposite arm side, so away from the right-hander.
Oberste, his first time up, grounded into a double play, but he is their most dangerous hitter by far. Takes a called strike there. Leads them in home runs, RBIs, doubles, tied for the lead in triples, batting average. And he gets some quality at bats. White, as we said before, good to steal, but you hate to do anything that would take the bat out of the hands of Oberste, who's your RBI guy. Another throw to first.
Jones pinching up the middle right now, too, and Katz holding the base runner on. If Oberste goes the other way, there is all the room in the world on the ground to the right side of the infield.
Pitch out. I think where he wants to go is off the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Not to the right side.
That would work. I think you're right. But it's one of those spots, too, where if you take advantage of what they're giving you, and you know that they're probably going to try to go away from him, the opportunity here for Oberste might just be to shoot it through the right side of the infield, keep this in and going. And then maybe White can go first to third.
Another throw. White back again. We're in the home half of the third. Oklahoma down by a run. Runner at first and 2 out. Great pick by Ross. They got him picked off. The throw down. He's out. Ross saved that. That ball was a mile out of the strike zone, and he picked it with a backhand.
He did, and it started, and Max White did what you're supposed to do right here, and that's extend the secondary lead when you see the ball going into the dirt, but the play by Ross erased it. Watch this. Goes backhand to Pickett, picks it cleanly, and then erases Max White. 3 complete. Tigers lead at 2-1.
Has some bad news for us. They're saying 15-20 minutes away there's some nasty stuff coming in, and they are planning on deploying the tarp about 15 minutes from now.
I'm not giving up hope. I refuse to believe it at this point. I'm not giving in.
I'm right with you.
They took their umbrella down. That's got to be a good sign. The rainbow umbrellas are down. They know.
Well, it's going to have to miss us because I don't think we can play the next 5 innings in 15 minutes.
No.
They have put those big umbrellas away. Ibarra, chopper to short. Mayfield, 1 out.
You want to get them going here at Alex Box. Take the rainbow umbrellas down to the front row. Sit them right in front of the first 5 rows. That'll get the crowd into it in a hurry.
Yeah, we'll have multiple fist fights. That'll be fun to cover.
We like action.
LSU won the first game last night 2-0. They lead this one 2-1. Jacoby Jones, who singled his first time up, stands in and tried to check his swing and fouled it off. Nothing more frustrating for a hitter than trying to check your swing and it costs you a strike anyway. Swung over the top of that one at 78 miles an hour, and he's in a 0-2 hole.
There's the good changeup. So follows the fastball in on his hands, a little cutter in on the hands of Jacoby Jones. That time then drops the changeup down and away.
Fastball's high. 2 balls or 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Comes a changeup again. So cutter in on his hands, changeup away. Then cutter. That time swung on and fouled off. Now see if Harmelin tries to drop that changeup down and away. Nope, going back in.
To left center field for a base hit. Max White will get it back in, trying for 2, and he's in there. What hustle and what speed. Jacoby Jones thought 2 right out of the box. And he just beat the defense.
He might have been the only one in the ballpark that thought 2 out of the box. And I think Max White got caught a little bit surprised right here because the center fielder came to this thinking it's a single the whole way. But watch Jones out of the box. White just kind of eases over to it thinking there's no chance. And if he goes full speed, there's no way that Jones goes to second base. But the minute he saw it right now, then he's off. We talked about how sick of an athlete this kid is. He shows you why, too. Speed is there. When he turns it on, he can get it and go. That time it's a 1-out double. It should have been a single.
Now that's not an error in the scorebook, but it is a mental error for White to allow Jones to advance to second on a single to left center.
That right there, scouting report too. I mean, that's why you have to know the guys that can really run and the guys that will take chances. Jones is that guy. You can just see the confidence growing in this kid with each and every at bat. Got the big triple last night, now 2 for 2 tonight.
Ty Ross stands in, a runner at second, 1 out. And thunder in the distance. We are told it is on its way and on its way in a hurry. Ross down to first, fielded by Oberste. Jones will go to third, and 2 men out. So that'll leave it up to the 9-hole hitter Foster. We can't see it yet, but we are told there's some big stuff on the horizon. Foster popped out in foul territory his first time up. But he has hit well with runners, or with 2 outs this year, at 375. That for a called strike. 0-2. Didn't like the call.
Go the other way.
I think it's much darker in person than it is on television. Down the right field line and goes foul. And if we do get weather, we just wait. That's it. Cover the field and sit here. You didn't have any other plans, did you?
This one will be good however long we have to wait tonight.
No balls, 2 strikes to Jared Foster. That's outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Palmineri would love to add another run here. And will, as the number 9 hitter Jared Foster dumps one into left. Gets the RBI single.
Tell you what, they all go greet Jacoby Jones right now.
Yes,
because
sir.
the difference right here is that single that turned into a double. When he took the extra base with just 1 out, Ty Ross's ground ball to the first baseman got him to third, and then this one scored him. It tied up Foster. Little cutter in on his hands, but he got enough to it. Flips it into left field, and LSU adds another run here in the third.
Puts the Tigers up 3-1. Foster comes through with the RBI single, and back to the top of the order for McMullen, who is 0 for 2. The LSU team comes in with a record of 56-9, number 1 in most of the polls. And when you look at them, there is no weakness on this team.
No, it's the one thing that jumps out. They could defend or field 980 as a club. From a pitching standpoint, we saw Nola last night. Eads at times can be really good. He's fought through and battled so far tonight. The bullpen is deep, and obviously offensively they can hurt you.
Can hear the rumbles in the distance as we were told to prepare for something nasty, and they can really get it down here. McMullen this year against lefties has hit only .267. He has feasted off of right-handers over .400. He's 0 for 2 against Overton tonight and takes a sweeping breaking ball outside. That's the Tarp crew. They're ready. I wish they weren't so happy about it, but they're ready.
Oh, boys, I'm glad you're dedicated to your craft down there, but you can wait a few more hours to pull that thing.
Toward the second baseman, Lorenzana. He'll handle it and throw him out, but another run for LSU. The Tigers add to their advantage. They're up 3-1 in the fourth. Here's what it looks like in this bracket. North Carolina with a 1-0 lead. North Carolina State with a 1-0 lead. Cal State Fullerton down to UCLA after losing last night. LSU leads here 1-0, and 3-1 in the bottom of the fourth with some foul weather, we are told, on the way. They were planning on putting the tarp on in about 15 minutes from the last time we announced it to you. Now they're going to try to get the bottom of this inning in before they put the tarp on. And Oberste is at the plate. He was up when Max White was picked off of first. Four, 5, and 6 in the order. This is lofted down the left field line. And Rafe Rhymes over in foul territory for the first out. Eads would like nothing better than a nice, quick, clean inning. Running his pitch count up there to 57 already. And sometimes if you don't get to a guy early, he settles in, you're in trouble.
Well, I think that's the interesting thing with Eads is at times he hasn't been able to find it this year. If it's not there, he can't really get it back. He's looked better the last 2 innings. I think the third inning was his sharpest. Now he gets the first here, and I know he falls behind 2-0 right here to Lorenzana, but still, it's a good sign if you're LSU to where there are signs that it is coming back right now for Eads.
Pours the fastball in there, 2-1. And of course, if the weather is bad as they are telling us, both starting pitchers may be gone if we have a lengthy delay. On the ground to short. Look at that pick by Bregman. Holy cow. Freshman of the year, you betcha.
Yeah, and he's so smooth getting to it, but it's the small stuff that matters. And this is why taking ground balls at all hours of the night pays off. He gets to it backhand side, but watch where his right foot is. So when he gets to it backhand side, his right foot, bang, just like that, is set, ready to make the throw. And he throws out Lorenzana by 4 steps. I mean, that's going backhand side, but still got the right foot set in plenty of time to get enough on that throw across the diamond.
You know, there's some things you can work on, some things you can learn. There's some things you got when you walk out there for the first time, and he's got a lot.
He absolutely does. And I think the other thing, though, is by working on that stuff, mentally you understand that it's not just getting to the ball on the backhand side. It's preparing your body for what's going to come next. And he knew he had enough time to kind of surround that, get to it backhand side. But the sooner you get that right foot set, the more you get on that throw over there. And again, what looked like it would be a close play, it wasn't even close.
This one lofted to left, Rhymes, and being called off by the center fielder Laird. 9 pitches exactly what Eads was looking for, and a 4-3-1. The umpires called out both head coaches and said, we are being told there is some evil stuff on the radar screen. It is on our doorstep. And what's the point? Let's get the tarp out there, protect the field. And the grounds crew is going to go to work. And both starting pitchers are going to hope that it's a brief delay so they have a chance at least of coming back. But once you cool off, what's your philosophy on that? It's pretty tough to get the guy heated up again.
Yeah, I think it's time based. I mean, it's 20, 25 minutes. It's a long inning. If it's an hour, I think it's probably too long because it's just your body's not really ready to come back at that point. It's been cooled down for too long. Now they'll probably go put heat pads on both of them right now, just to make sure that they're staying as hot as they can for whatever period of time this is. But they're usually not going to pull the tarp because they think they're going to get 10 minutes of rain. If this thing's rolling out there, it's because they think something's coming in.
Yeah. Kaylee may have more from the field. Kaylee?
Mike, I just talked with Coach Galloway. He is aware of the weather conditions, and he says he wished they could just keep playing, but the grounds crew here has got to let fans have a chance to get to safe cover. I asked him how he was feeling about Dylan Overton, and he said if he goes in, if this delay is too long, we might not see him again. And I asked, who would we see? And he said at this point, he honestly doesn't know, Mike.
Yeah, it might be Kaylee. It might be by committee at that point. And they're telling folks in the stands, it's on its way. So get under the concourse, under the overhangs, and protect yourself.
And this is a smart thing to do. I mean, you said it.
I think so too.
If you know it's coming, I mean, it's let everybody get where they should be at this point. And listen, what's the word? If you're wrong, so what? roll it back out there in 20 minutes and we'll play again. But it's more thinking about what if right here, and I think this is always the smart thing to do.
Sure. Well, that's our situation right here. We're ready to start the top of the fifth anytime the weatherman is ready to cooperate in a 3-1 ball game. Until then, we'll send you back to the studio and Matt Schick. Matt? 9-minute rain delay, although you can't really call it a rain delay because it didn't rain. But we've had a 39-minute threatening weather delay. And we have more on what that has done to this game from Kaylee Hartung.
Mike, the decision to resume play so quickly came a few minutes ago in Coach Maneri's office between Coach Maneri, Coach Galloway, NCAA officials, and the LSU grounds crew. The last bit of lightning struck 8 miles away at 7:31. Once that 30-minute clock hit that would allow play to resume, the grounds crew said they could get this tarp up in 5 minutes, rake the field, and play could begin as soon as possible. As far as baseball here is concerned, Dylan Overton will take the mound for Oklahoma, but for LSU, Will LaMarche will be taking the mound for the Tigers. Coach Maneri told me that after 64 pitches, he wasn't going to put Ryan Eads back out there. It's all bullpen from here for the Tigers.
And I think, Kaylee, that's probably right on the edge of where you have to make that decision, whether you go with the guy who started or take him out. And one manager went one way and one head coach went the other.
Yeah, and I'm really comfortable with either one in this spot. If it was an hour and a half, I think it's a different deal because it's in that time frame. You know that the training staff for OU had the heat packs on Overton. They were making sure he was kept warm, and I think it's a period of time to where it's not egregious at all. If it's a lot longer than that, I think it gets a little bit iffy. In this spot, I don't think it's too long. I think Overton probably got loose in about 10 pitches because he's back there out and ready to go. And you know, there's a piece, and I understand that you know, Paul is saying that they're taking Eads out because of the pitch count. I also don't think they mind going to the bullpen right now. I think if you're LSU now, you shorten the game. It's a 5-inning game. You get a fresh bullpen because nobody threw last night, and you get a 2-run lead.
It was certainly not Eads' best performance. He struggled in the first 2 innings, seemed to settle in a little bit in the third and the fourth.
His best 2 innings were his last innings.
Yeah, they really were.
He did start to settle down. But look at what's happened up to this point. You could see for OU, it was a quick start. They got out in front, scored their first runs of this Super Regional. 4 of the first 7 reached base. Just 1 since then, and that would show you that Eads was settling down. And Laird and Jones back at the bottom part of this LSU order. Well, Laird near the top, but Jacoby Jones near the bottom has been outstanding so far.
And we will resume in the top of the fifth with LSU already leading 3-1. And we'll resume with the number 2, 3, and 4 men in the order. Laird, Bregman, and Katz. And all 3 of these guys have been very impressive. Not only with the bat in their hands, but in the field.
And I think the one thing to watch too, when we watch Dylan Overton and we see him immediately when he gets out there, you ought to be able to tell in 5, 6, 7 pitches how he feels, and it's all based on fastball location. If the fastball's down in the zone, he's finishing the pitch. A lot of times when you get tired and your arm doesn't feel quite as good, that ball ends up high because you don't finish the pitch. If he's finishing the pitch and the ball's down in the zone, I think it's a good initial sign for Oklahoma.
We mentioned this last night in the first game of this series. LSU is not about to beat itself. They are the 6th best defensive team in the country in terms of fielding percentage. They do not give you extra outs, and if you give it to them, they just see it as a huge advantage.
And it's pretty amazing too. Oklahoma made 3 errors all in 1 inning, and LSU only scored 1 run. I think there's a part of you, if you're OU, probably Sonny Galloway talked to his club and said, listen, we kicked it around a little bit. Still 3-1. I mean, this thing pretty easily could be 6-1 if things would have got out of control there in the 3rd inning, but it's still a tight game. You still have a guy that you would look at as a co-ace on the mound for Oklahoma right now. Overton gets him in the dugout real quick. It's a new ball game.
Game 1, only 2 hits. They have a run tonight, but only 3 hits. Overton getting in his warm-up tosses, and we are ready to go in the 5th. Paul Maneri would love to close it out tonight, not worry about who his Game 3 starter might be. Sonny Galloway trying to keep this series alive and worry about pitching tomorrow. First guy who's got a face here in the 5th is Laird. They can't get him out. 5 out of 6 here in the Super Regionals. And a hit batter. That is not a good sign for the first pitch from Overton.
No, it's not. And part of this is mental now, too, for Overton, because you throw the first pitch and it was a breaking ball that just slipped out of his hands. And you see he's going to go back and try to get the dirt out of his spikes. But that one, I think it was more a grip issue than anything else. But sometimes it's just the signal that it sends. Curveball flips out of his hand. He's not going to finish it. And now Laird on there to start the 5th inning. Laird 6 of 10 on the year in stolen bases. But you face Bregman, Katz, and Rhymes to follow.
If you can't get him out, just go ahead and hit him. Save your arm.
With quick.
Bregman, little looper right at the second baseman, and he's retired for the first out. Jammed him. So Mason Katz will stand in. He's 0 for 2. Sometimes tough to reset your emotions after a rain delay like this. You get jacked up, ready to go. You're in full playing mode, and then all at once you have to go sit down for 40-45 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it surprised him how quick they got back out there. I mean, when they pulled the tarp, I think everybody thought that it was going to be a while, but the clouds literally parted. I mean, it didn't rain. And so they pop him back out there quickly, and we're back at it. So mentally, you got to get back at it maybe a little bit quicker than you thought you'd have to.
And both coaches were told that some nasty stuff was on its way in. They relayed that to their players, so everybody was going to go back and get a nice rest, and it didn't happen. No balls and a strike to Mason Katz. Laird at first, 1 out. That's outside, 1-1. Jake Fisher is up and warming for Oklahoma, and the wind has shifted from blowing out to right to blowing out to left as that storm system passed us. That one's fouled straight back. There's Fisher getting in his warming up tosses down the right field line.
And you can see the mindset right now of OU, because Fisher would have been slated to start game 3. And so it is, all right, we got to do everything we can to make sure that we get to game 3. And if we do, we'll worry about who's going to throw at that point.
That's right. There's no sense saving a guy for a game that's not going to be played. And that's what we'll see more of that in Omaha. Two balls and a strike to Mason Katz. Checking throw to first. Laird has 6 stolen bases, but he's also been thrown out 4 times. And it's just all that much tougher to steal a base off a left-hander. A lot of times your first move is back to first. Fouled off the right side.
And we saw it earlier today with Bregman. So often you just have to guess, and if you guess right, a lot of times it's a little bit quicker to second base. But if you guess wrong and they pick you off, and we haven't seen that read move from Overton yet, the guys that have that good read move to where they can pick that leg up and literally decide based on what the base runner is doing are the toughest lefties to face.
Checked his swing. It'll be 3-2. Well, we'll see if they send Laird now. One out here in the fifth after a 39-minute rain delay. Runner goes, skied to straightaway center and deep, but White retreats and makes the catch. Hit it to the deepest part of the ballpark. 2 outs for Rafe Rhymes. Rhymes has his average up to 342, going 1 for 2 tonight. Singled his first time up in the second, struck out in the third. Taps this one foul. So Overton has thrown quality pitches since plunking a hitter with his first one since the rain delay.
He's done it against 2 of the best hitters in his lineup, too. He got Bregman out on the first pitch, jammed him on a fastball, then the deep fly ball to Katz.
Fastball, called strike, 0-2. That's outside. Ball and 2 strikes to Rafe Rhymes. SEC Player of the Year a season ago. And they've got him picked to throw down to second, and he's out.
They guessed right once.
Yes, they did.
And they guessed wrong once. That time Laird off and running on the 1-2 count. And Overton had it read right. Just a quick move over to first. Good turn by Oberste. That erases LSU here in the fifth. But OU coming back up. We'll see if a little break helps the Bats. They trail it 3-1.
Beating Oklahoma 3-1. Now let's take a look at tonight's lesson plan, brought to you by Monsters University.
Buddy Sully's going to help us out again. Watch the ground ball to short. And Bregman gets there on the backhand side, but it's his feet that I want to pay special attention to because of how he sets up to throw. He gets there in plenty of time, and that right foot is set. And as soon as the right foot is set, there's enough in that throw across the diamond. And he ends up throwing the hitter out by 3 or 4 steps. A lot of times guys will make that backhanded play and it'll push him into left field. And there's nothing on that throw, but Bregman was literally thinking ahead before the ball got into his glove. Had enough time to set that right foot, and it ended up a pretty play. He can swing it, and we've talked enough about that, but he can pick it a little bit too.
Nice to watch. LaMarche will come on in relief. Will making his 24th appearance, 2-0.
He can run it up there too. This is another kid that can run it into the loaded mid-90s at times. LaMarche is a power guy with a pretty good slider behind him.
He'll face the bottom third of the order, and that's Colt Bickerstaff, who fouls off the first pitch. Bickerstaff singled in his only trip tonight. Another foul. First name Colt's got sort of an Oklahoma, Texas ring to it, doesn't it?
I bet he can hit a fastball too. Your name's Colt, you can hit a fastball.
took that one outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes, and the crowd is suddenly back in it. They were pretty quiet after the rain delay.
There's not too many of them that left.
No.
40 minutes. They probably went out and had another Diet Coke. Headed on back in. They're ready to go.
We understand we have set another attendance record tonight. The 11,000 plus didn't last very long. That was last night, 11,401. And tonight we are over 12,000, the most ever to see a ball game here. And remember, they've led the nation in attendance 18 years in a row, so they know how to pack them in.
Fire Marshal was in a better mood tonight.
May have gotten a better seat.
Yeah.
3 balls, 2 strikes to Bickerstaff, and he lines this one on a rope in the right. Bickerstaff 2 for 2. Now Hunter Haley, the number 8 man in the order. And down 2 runs. Do you stick with what you do best? Do you sacrifice?
I don't think so. I really don't at this point. Well, the only thing I'll change is Haley's not running all that well right now. And since Haley isn't running all that well, if there's a guy that you do want to sacrifice, it's probably Haley at this point. Because if he gets on the base pass with that ankle, I don't know if he's moving around as well as he usually does. 6 sack bunts on the year for Hunter Haley.
He grounded into a fielder's choice his first time, and he does show bunt, instead pulls it back and takes a called strike. Could be 2. Bobbled but picked up and got him at first. Bregman got over there, kicked it a little bit, recovered, and makes the 6-3 double play.
And how about the presence of mind, too? After he kicks this ball, to come back and barehanded. And a lot of times guys will get in a hurry and they'll try to glove it. Watch Bregman. The first time it kicks out of his glove, now watch the second movement. So it kicks out, and then right there he goes and barehands it. If he goes down with a glove, there's no chance he turns that double play. The minute it kicks out, you go with the bare hand. It never comes back to his glove. Steps on it, fires across, a double play.
Some players just have an instinct on how to play this game, and I think you're looking at one right there. I think he is so smart.
And the mind just works different in that. I mean, there's no way. You don't have enough time to think all that through.
No.
It's an instinctual play at that point, and knowing that the only chance I have is to barehand it and get rid of it as quick as I can.
Well, it looked like you wanted to sacrifice on the first pitch. As it turns out, that would have been a much better result for OU than that double play ground ball. And now it's Garrett Carey with 2 out and nobody on. Into right. Foster makes the catch. LSU gets out of the inning with no damage. And the Tigers continue to lead at 3-1. Well, it's been a pretty good start in the Super Regionals for underdogs. They've had their opportunities here in the first couple of ball games. For more coverage of the Division I baseball tournament and interactive brackets, go to ncaa.com.
How about what we've already seen, too? So Indiana wins game 1 at Florida State. Florida State leaves a couple on base in the bottom of the 9th. The Hoosiers win game 1. Louisville wins game 1 at Vanderbilt. Nick Birdie comes out of the bullpen. We were watching it here. Hits 100 when he comes out of the pen. 91-mile-an-hour sliders at some point for birdie.
Taylor Alspaugh is back into right field. The young man they nicknamed Rudy made a brilliant catch last night to save a run early in the ball game. So don't try to do too much. He's in there because a couple of guys are hurt. So just go out there and be yourself. And then they said, you know, there's nothing wrong with Jello. Go ahead and be Jello. You don't have to be creme brulee. Jello's fun.
Jello made a pretty good play last night.
Jello made a great play. 1-2 to Rafe Rhymes, who leads off the LSU sixth. He was at bat when Laird was picked off for first. Just outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Rhymes singled and scored in the second, struck out in the third. Crowd's really into it now. This one down the right field line, twisting foul. And Alspaugh can't get there. Let's go back to last night and show you the great catch he made. Would have been a double, would have driven in a run at the beginning of the game. But Rudy saved it, laid out and made the catch in right center. Got to be a thrill for him when you are, you know, you're the last choice. And, you know, other guys are hurt. And, yeah, you got to go in there. You got to play. Go get them, and you make a play like that.
Right away you do that. And that was on a ball off the bat at Katz. It looked like it was a double.
And a base on balls to Rhymes. LSU bidding for more here in the sixth, already up 3-1 and 1-0 in the series. Ibarra has sacrificed and grounded out. His team doesn't sacrifice much.
No, and I was just going to say he's one of the only. There's 3 guys in the lineup today that have sacrificed bunts in the entire year. 6 of them have 0.
Yeah.
Ibarra's one that has a few. He has 3 on the year.
Well, there's a couple guys at the top of this order that I'm not going to ask to bunt.
If Bregman squares to bunt, that's when you might want to start running for the hills.
0-2 to Christian Ibarra, the third baseman. Down the right field line. Alspaugh will give chase, but runs out of room. If LSU wins tonight, they can make their plans to go to Omaha, Nebraska and be one of 8 teams competing for a national title. If Oklahoma comes back, we will play a deciding game 3 tomorrow night. Both of these coaches have taken their teams to Omaha. And Paul Maneri won it all. That one gets away from the catcher, and the throw not in time. Rhymes did a good job of reading that ball in the dirt. He got a jump.
You know, it's one of those two where it happens before it gets away, and you can see the first break of Rhymes. The minute you see this ball heading towards the dirt, that's when the first movement has to be towards second base. Now, we saw it backfire early in this game against Oklahoma. If it's gloved cleanly, there's a chance, and a pretty good chance, the catcher will throw you out. But the minute it got away from Hermelin right there, Rhymes had plenty of time.
But the play you're referring to, Ross just made a miracle
Absolutely.
play, a backhand stab. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Christian Ibarra. Paul Maneri may have been saying, let's be cautious with him, sending him on a base hit, or let's be aggressive. Which do you think?
Well, I think he was pointing out outfielders, honestly. I think he looked at the left fielder, Craig Aiken, and saw how deep he was and said, ground ball to left field, we're going regardless, just because of how deep Aiken was.
And he is a mile out there. Ibarra swings over the top. Great pitch by Overton to get the strikeout.
Well, in the end, it works out as if Ibarra would have got the bunt down. Ball gets away from the catcher, Hermelin. Rhymes out to second base, but Overton does a nice job of coming back. Little break a ball down in the dirt that Ibarra swings right over the top of. But now you get Jones, who has been as hot as really anybody on this LSU roster the last 2 days. Jones has hit almost everything on the screws.
Action in the Oklahoma bullpen again. Jones with a single and a double on the night. There's another single. Late break by the runner, and they're going to hold him this time. He was very cautious with that, thinking maybe Mayfield could get to it at short. Sure didn't look like it from here.
It didn't, but I think in retrospect, I think it's decent base running. And you know that if Mayfield does get to it, Rhymes is out if he goes, because everything's moving over towards third base. Now, in the end, Mayfield had a long way to go, and he wasn't going to get there. Maybe that was the discussion, is to make sure that you don't get yourself thrown out of third base just in case in this spot. Now, LSU's still in a pretty good spot, first and third with 1 out, and we'll see if Ty Ross will end up facing Dylan Overton. Now, most of the time, when Sonny Galloway comes to the mound, he doesn't make a move. Generally, it's Jack Giese who will come out and make the move, who's the pitching coach. So, in this spot, I would suspect they're going to stay with Overton.
Probably usually talking defense, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably talking about how they're going to defend it. So if Ross lays the bunt down, which wouldn't shock me in this spot, if Ross lays the bunt down, it's a safety. All right, what are we going to do? Infield, where you is probably infield back in the spot to play for a double play against Ross, and your corners are going to be charging.
Which the double play would give them a chance to get out of the inning.
I think they safety here. I think at some point during this at bat, because Ross handles the bat pretty well, even though he's a big kid at the bottom of the lineup. Ross has 9 sack bunts on the season. That's second on this LSU club.
He is 0 for 2 tonight. First and third, 1 gone. LSU leading 3-1 in the 6th, bidding for more. There it was.
They had him. They had Rhymes too. And the only reason they couldn't make the throw is because Garrett Carey crashed. So Carey was crashing from third base, and Rhymes goes too far, because on a safety, you're waiting to see this ball's down. He takes 2 or 3 steps, and if Carey's back at the bag, Rhymes is out. But Carey's coming to try to crash and take that safety away, and he couldn't get back in time.
And even there, if Hermelin takes the chance and makes the throw, they still
might get it.
You do it again. You do, and he got the bunt down. Great job, and a run scores. Ross with perfect execution. Can't ask for anything better than that.
Now, in the way that offense is right now across the game, we've seen the safety squeeze come back, and I think it's a great play in a spot like this, because as a base runner, you're not running them off the base. You're reading this right here. Ball goes down, and you see that downward movement, and it's not right back to the pitcher. You know that Rhymes is going to score. If you're the hitter right here, you don't care if it's first base side or third base side, just don't get it back to the pitcher. The minute Overton has to run, Rhymes has enough time, and LSU puts another one on the board.
Sacrifice bunt and an RBI for Ross, and it's 4-1 LSU. And the inning's still alive for the number 9 man, Jared Foster. And that was probably it for Dylan Overton. We'll check out the pitching change for you when we come back. Here in Baton Rouge, it's 4-1 LSU. Tiger bait. And then they'll give you a nice ovation when you leave. Pretty nice crowd, isn't it?
Yeah, they're equal opportunity. They'll jump on you at sometimes and then give you a hand when you head off. So now Oklahoma goes to the bullpen, and it's Kyle Hayes, who really has come on late in the season. Finished games 2 and 3 in the regional in Blacksburg, and Hayes on at this point just to try to stem the tide right here for LSU. Good fastball. Will get into the low 90s, so the stuff is definitely there. And the other thing it does is it gives LSU a very different look. You get a left-hander out there in Overton who could turn it over a little bit. Now you get a power guy and a right-hander in Hayes.
2 outs. He will inherit a 1-ball, no strike count to Jared Foster. And now they'll send Tyler Moore in as a pinch hitter, because he's a left-handed batter. And Moore, one of the stars of last night's game, came through with a pinch hit RBI double. One. More a homegrown product out of Baton Rouge, trying to inflict more damage on Oklahoma. And it's up to Kyle Hayes to not let anything else come across. 4-1 is a big enough hole. A little bit low. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Moore stands in, hitting .280. Got his 12th RBI of the season last night in a 2-0 win. It was 0-0 in the 8th, and Moore drove one hop to the wall for a double that drove in the first run of the ball game. As it turned out, it would be the only one they needed, and the hometown hero got to celebrate. Here's the payoff pitch. Struck him out. LSU's down in the 6th, but they add to their advantage. 4-1. Regionals presented by Capital One. Don't miss a minute of the College World Series. You can watch games live anywhere, anytime on your computer, tablet, and your smartphone with Watch ESPN. Visit WatchESPN.com or download the Watch ESPN app to get you started. Watch ESPN. It is the clutch way to watch, and you get to see everything all at once. Laird goes to center field, and Stevenson to center field, and Laird goes to right. A defensive change for LSU. Slap foul outside third. This is the top of the order for Oklahoma here in the 6th. Aiken leads it off. He has one of the 4 Oklahoma hits tonight. Led off the game with a single. They'll have at least 2 shots with the top of the order here. Swing and a miss.
I don't know if Lamar's thrown anything other than the fastball since he came in. It's just give me the ball, rear back, and let it go. He's been as high as 93. That one had a pretty good finish, too. He was away, and this one kind of tied the freshman up a little bit here. Inner half of the plate. Aiken trying to get the barrel to it, but Lamar's got it right by him.
Mayfield stands in 0-1. Sacrificed and grounded out. Excuse me, lined out back in the third. LSU fans into it with their club up by 3. Oklahoma batting in the 6th. Oh, and Lamar hit him.
That time he tried to throw the slider. He just got a little bit too quick. Ball just flew right out of his hands. Kind of like the first pitch that Overton threw when he came back in. Get a little bit quick with that breaking ball. It slips right out of his hand, and that time Lamar just couldn't finish it. It's not a fastball. It's a slider. He just didn't get through it. If you don't get through that slider, a lot of times it can back up. You can kind of see that dot coming in towards home plate.
Well, Mayfield was certainly willing to throw his arm up.
Yeah, he'll take that one. One out, Mayfield on, and now the heart of the order coming up in the senior Max White.
Love to have White get aboard so Oberste would represent the potential tying run, and he's the guy who can do it for him.
Now that was White looking to bunt for a hit, and it was all based on Ibarra down at third base. When he peeked down at Ibarra, saw how how deep he was playing, White was just going to take the bunt, try to bring Oberste up with 2 guys on. Ibarra hasn't moved either.
White has a single and a walk. Looked like he wanted to bunt again, takes a called strike, 1-1. Didn't like the call either. Max White is the senior out of Durant, Oklahoma. One of 2 players in this lineup hitting over 300. He's got to produce for him. Swung over the top of the breaking pitch, 1-2.
And there was one that he finished. So the one earlier slipped out of his hand. That time Lamarche really got through it. Finished it, got all the way out in front. And that was that good down and away action.
One on, one out here in the Oklahoma 6th. In the dirt, blocked by Ross. Well, Ross done a nice job behind the plate, hasn't he?
He can play. He can play. He does the little things, too, that you like on the mound. Catching the ball in the center of his body, that will get you some calls. Knowing when to go out and get it and when to let that ball travel, that will get you some calls. The whole receiving component of the game, Ty Ross is very good at.
2-2 to White. In the air to right. Laird almost in his tracks for the second out. So Oberste will come up with 2 out and a man aboard. A dangerous bat has been kept quiet tonight. He's grounded into a double play and hit a fly ball to the left. 359 with runners in scoring position this year. Runner goes, had a huge jump, and that ball will go into center field. Mayfield on his way to third. Well, if you know you can steal it, go ahead.
Absolutely. And I think that one was stolen off of LaMarche because he took so much time to get to home plate. Now he goes to third because of the throw by Ross, and that'll be a throwing error. But that big leg kick by LaMarche gave Jack Manfield enough time to steal second, throw offline. He's up and going right away. And now standing just 90 feet away with 2 outs and a 2-0 count to Oberste.
And that is the first error charged to LSU in this series. Second round of the ball game, only 90 feet away now for Oklahoma. They did not score last night in a 2-0 loss. They've been held to 1 so far in this game. Two balls and a strike. You can see Ty Ross set up on the outside of the plate, and that ball was right down the middle.
And I would think that if Oberste gets on right here, that's probably it for LaMarche. He's not a guy that goes deep into games very often. Already 1 2/3.
Got him to chase a high fastball and fouled it off. 2-2. Biggest crowd in the history of LSU baseball wants one more strike to end this threat. Instead, it's ball 4, and the potential tying run comes to the plate. That's a good at-bat by Oberste. You know he's up there thinking, I'm the guy who's got to drive in the runs, but you can't lose your discipline either.
Well, those are when the good ones get really good, because it's at times they try to do a little bit too much, and Oberste's done a great job of not doing that, just staying patient in that spot, realizing that base runners really matter. And at this point, you got 2 guys on with Lorenzana come up, but it looks like they will face Nick Rumbelow.
Rumbelow, the big right-hander drafted by the Yankees, on his way in. We'll check out his numbers when we come back. If you're interested in that Cal State Fullerton UCLA game, you can see that on ESPN3 right now. Here we're in the bottom of the 6th, 2 outs, and one of the few scoring chances Oklahoma has managed to create in 2 ball games, and this could be their best shot right here.
Yeah, but they'll have to face a new arm, and it'll be Nick Rumbelow, who comes in fairly similar stuff than we just saw with Will LaMarche. Fastball can get into the low 90s for Rumbelow. He was really good in the regional, came on and was probably as good as he's been the entire year, but he won't face Matt Oberste, and maybe that is the best thing for Rumbelow coming into this one. He will face Hector Lorenzana with runners on 1st and 3rd as Dylan Overton and the rest of the Sooners look on.
I don't think anybody out there wants to come in and face Oberste.
He can hit. He can hit.
Lorenzana has walked and grounded a short. 42 RBIs this year, 2nd on the ball club. Has occasional home run power, but normally gap power. And he wouldn't mind a gap shot right here against Rumbelow. Get his team back in the ball game. Runner goes, he's safe, and Bregman really putting up a beef. He thought he had him. They threw through to Ty Ross. Ty Ross threw through. Bregman put the tag down, thought he had him, and here's Paul Mary to argue his case.
You could see the reaction. Bregman behind and Jacoby Jones after the tag, and Jones thought he had it. Well, the throw by Ross was low, but it was dug out by Jones, and watch the tag. That's the key right here. The ball is there in time. It's a low throw. Did the tag get him?
I don't think he ever touched him.
No. Well, I don't think he got to the base. Watch the foot of Oberstein. Watch the foot. So he misses him the first time, but the foot never gets to the base. Then he tags it before that right foot even touched the bag. So the first time through, he swiped and didn't get him, and that's why Jones got so upset. He missed him the first time, but that right foot of Oberstein never even touched the bag.
You are absolutely right. But it gives Oklahoma 2 runners in scoring position. Boy, buried one in the dirt there for a strike.
It looked like that toe was touching, but that last move by Oberstein, I would tell you the move after by Oberstein indicated that he thought he was out.
Well, you could tell the toe wasn't touching because then he reached forward and made it touch. You could see it hit the bag, and you were absolutely correct. Lorenzana has 22-out RBIs this year. That leads this ball club. Boy, that is a wicked-looking pitch. That's 2 in a row.
That one was good. And if it's 6 inches lower, it's a strikeout. It was just high enough that Lorenzana, even though he's out in front, watch that front shoulder. He's all the way out in front, but it's elevated enough that he can get a piece of it. If it's down in his zone, he swings over the top of it. You can't get that kind of extension, but it's up enough that he got a piece of it. I would throw it again, but try to bury it here. You want it down below the knees.
No balls and 2 strikes with that 12-6 action. Called strike 3 right down the middle. They strand runners at second and third. And a huge opportunity for Oklahoma goes by the boards. Nice job by Rumbelow out of the pen, huh? Clutch relief pitching shuts down Oklahoma. It's still 4-1. Great baseball game after another. And last weekend, you got to see about 100 of them.
Yeah.
I thought that channel was a tremendous idea.
It was phenomenal. It was phenomenal. I think it was really well received, too. And I'm sure that we'll be doing it again next year and onward just because of the reaction that we got. And I think the ability to show people things that they hadn't seen before. It was a blast.
You did a great job. And I know Dari was there an awful lot.
Yep.
He did a great job, too.
And Schroff was there. We had a long 4 days, but we had a blast.
Never seen 100 games in 3 days before, have you?
No. No, I haven't seen that little asleep in 3 days either, but it was a blast.
Fans breathing a little sigh of relief here as we go to the 7th. Their 3-run lead preserved. And you just had the feeling that might have been Oklahoma's best shot. They got a break on the call at second, had runners at second and third. This one fouled back by McMullen. Lorenzano just couldn't come through with the clutch base hit as Hector has so many times this year. Two balls and 2 strikes to McMullen. In the air to right center. And Max White is there to make the catch.
You know, Mike, we're talking about the draft and the timing and talking to coaches. It's one thing that I hope Major League Baseball takes a hard look at is when they do the draft, because I think it's unfair to some of these kids as to when they do it and how they're drafted. This year, some of these kids were literally drafted on the field. And what is one of the biggest times of their lives, you're also supposed to be thinking about one of the games of your lives. And I think it would benefit everybody. If they could just make it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, take it out of when kids are playing, I think it'd be better for the college game. I know it'd be better for the college game.
Trying to bunt his way on is Laird. And a nice play by Hermelin to throw him out. But Kyle, we've been asking that same question for 20 years.
Yeah, it doesn't change. I mean, it used to be right in the middle of the College World Series. But it's, if you're going to have it this week, and if you need to because of short season baseball, I understand it from the professional point of view, just from a timing standpoint, but have it on days that they're not playing. Just have it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's not supposed to be any games. It's easier. It's easier for coaches to deal with. It's easier for these kids to deal with because, you know, for a lot of them, that's what you dream when you're growing up. You dream of that phone call and that time that it happens, and you're also dreaming of this at the same time.
And what would the difference be to Major League Baseball to have it 2 days early?
It should be nothing. It should be absolutely nothing.
Ground ball toward the hole. Oberste over to make the play. Pitcher covers.
One of the good stories that came out of the draft this year, the Arizona Diamondbacks in the 34th round drafted a kid named Corey Hahn. And Corey was a freshman at Arizona State a few years ago, slid into second base, fractured his C5 vertebra, and was paralyzed. And for the last 2 years, Arizona State has wore the number 34 on their socks. Corey's still working towards his degree. Will get his degree from Arizona State, but today was drafted in the 34th round. Same number as his number.
Isn't that great?
By the Diamondbacks. Cool
well,
story.
good for them. Good for them. Bregman pops it up and it gets away from Hermelin in foul territory. Well, Bregman's the last guy out there you want to give a new life to.
You want to give him another shot. Hacking at the first pitch again, which is kind of Bregman's MO when he gets going. If he sees a guy and he's comfortable when he steps into the box, Bregman's not going to waste any time.
Been held hitless tonight, an uncharacteristic 0 for 3. And he rips this one toward the gap in left center. That'll take care of that. It'll roll to the wall. Bregman on his way to second. Big turn, and now he'll retreat with a stand-up double. You give a guy who's hit 380 most of the year a second life, he's going to make you pay.
And you know he's thinking the exact same thing. Little slider that just hangs there. Stays right in the middle. How about how balanced he is? That was an off-speed pitch, but the balance was there the whole time for Bregman. Wasn't fooled by the speed. Hands were back the entire time. Drills it into the left center field gap, and LSU with another base runner in scoring position. And here with Katz coming up with 2 outs.
And another misplay hurts Oklahoma. They have been really sloppy defensively in this ballgame. And now Mason Katz, and Bregman has got to be breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief. His first hit here in the Super Regionals. That would hold him in good stead if they can get to Omaha. Break that 0 for cycle. Of course, you get the feeling not much bothers that kid.
No, it definitely hasn't seemed to yet. He's handled about everything since day one. Starting shortstop, hit third in this order every game the entire season since he stepped on campus.
You would never guess he was a freshman, ever.
No, and they get him for 2 more years.
Almost thrown into center field. Just saved by Lorenzana. Got a tip of the glove on it. When you start kicking the ball around, it usually leads to kicking the ball around a little more.
Yeah, it generally doesn't stop at 1.
1-1 to Mason Katz. Fouls this one back, a ball and 2 strikes. LSU trying to add to its 4-1 lead. They won the opener of the best of 3 last night, 2-0 in an exceptional pitching duel. And Palmineri hopes they can punch their ticket to Omaha tonight. And all the guys who gave up so much to give them another shot to get back to Omaha would be rewarded by this. For a while, it seemed like a birthright if you were at LSU to go to the World Series.
It has been for the last 27 years.
Two and 2 to Katz. Chopped toward deep short. Mayfield throws and got him. The inning is over. 4-1 LSU.
A Baseball Super Regionals is presented by the Venture Card from Capital One, the official credit card of the College World Series.
That's the LSU Baseball Hall of Fame, and there's certainly enough items of memorabilia to fill up a couple of museums here with all the national championships they've won and the SEC titles. We've got more on LSU baseball. Here's Kaylee Hartung.
Mike, good luck charms for baseball teams can come in all shapes and sizes. When Jace Robertson of Duck Dynasty fame threw out the first pitch for the Tigers in early March against Nicholls State, he brought with him a good luck charm of his own. It was a can of Golden Sweet whole kernel corn. Okay, now he said it would be good luck if you follow his logic. Nebraska is one of the top producing corn states. Omaha is in Nebraska. The College World Series is in Omaha, and that's where LSU wants to head to win a national title. He wrote back to Omaha on the top of it and signed it. He said, after you guys win a championship, you can sign the can and give it right back to me.
Kaylee, I don't know.
Makes perfect sense, huh?
Yes, it does.
I love it. Guys,
Well, you love the show.
Oh, it's phenomenal. I think it's outstanding. Jace and Willie and all the boys. I hope they make it up to Omaha. If LSU ends up advancing, it would be great to have them come into town and see it for themselves.
The very well cared for can of corn.
They went family size too. They didn't skimp on it.
Bourgeois is up throwing for LSU. You would expect somebody named Bourgeois to be pitching for LSU, wouldn't you?
And it was said perfectly, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Well done.
That's from 4 years of Spanish.
Of course it is. The two just go hand in hand.
Don't they? Bickerstaff takes it 2 balls and a strike. That is a nasty breaking pitch.
On that side of the plate too. I mean, a lot of times when it's breaking down and into the left-hander, that's when the breaking ball has the best movement from a right-hander. But Rumbelow still getting over the top of it away.
Colt Bickerstaff pops it up on the infield. Bregman makes the catch for out number 2. Two quickly gone here in the Oklahoma 7th. They're the home team, so they've got still to bat in the 8th and the 9th with a chance to come back. But LSU pitching has held them to 1 run in nearly 2 full games now. That sure looks faster than 90 miles an hour. That's got some giddy up on it.
And late movement, and that's the one that always makes it look that much quicker. And it's not like you can go out there and teach somebody to have late movement, but it's that movement at the end that makes it look like it explodes into the catcher's glove, and it's that much harder for a hitter to turn on.
Rumbelow 1-1 to Hunter Haley. Now, as a catcher, we just saw him go through a series of signals. Why do you do that with nobody on?
Could be location. So the first could be pitch and the second could be location. So a lot of times it'll be with a fastball. So maybe 1-3, 1-4, 1 is the fastball, and then the second is the location. So there's the fastball. Well, of course, he's only going to give 1.
Anywhere.
Well played.
Popped up behind the plate. Ross runs out of room. Simply meant he didn't care about the location.
just throw this one.
So many lines from Major League are running through my head right now.
At one point, I knew every one of them. They've started to leave my mind year by year.
Number one, baby. All the way, Omaha. All the way.
Oh, that's got to hurt. Something awful. Lined into left for a base hit. Haley keeps the inning alive. And if nothing else, this takes him to the 9th man in the order, Garrett Carey. If he can keep it going, they'll go back to the top of the order. Never give up at Oklahoma. And these kids feel they're playing for a special purpose, too. They're playing for the entire state. And all the people that have suffered so much out there because of the horrible weather.
It was nice, too. The last 2 days there have been Red Cross donations at the door here at Alex Box for the Storm and more, and the other stores that have followed.
That's great.
The blue undershirts in honor of those folks that have suffered through that tragedy.
And they just want to let them know they're not thinking about themselves. They're thinking of everybody back home. Ball and a strike to Garrett Carey. He's 0 for 2. A lot of fans have still made their way down here to Baton Rouge. Strike 2 called. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a runner aboard in the 7th. Really been impressed by Rumbelow. Runner goes, ball fouled away. There are more and more power arms in baseball at every level. I guess kids are just bigger and stronger.
How about yesterday we saw a guy throw 100, and today we saw a guy throw 100. In the college game yesterday it was Gray, today it was Nick Birdie at Louisville. Both of which I think you'll see in the big leagues here pretty quick.
You were a power pitcher. What did you top out of?
Before I had a few holes in my arm.
True.
It wasn't 100. 92, 93 at times. That was about all I had. I had to trick him, and the longer it went, I had to trick him early.
Trick him early and often. 1-2 to Garrett Carey. And the last thing you would want to do is get picked off first base. That would be an ignominious end to an inning if you're Hunter Ayler. You can't score 3 on your own.
No.
A little shorter lead this time. Could almost fall down and get back.
And I would bet he was reminded of that over at first base too.
First base coach Rich Hills could have said, seriously?
Uh-oh.
Runner goes, ball hit to deep left. Rhymes going back on the track at the wall. He got it. Rafe Rhymes. About a foot shy of a home run.
I thought he got it. I thought he got it when he hit it.
Missed it by that much. Rhymes used all the space there was. LSU is 46-0 when they lead after 7. They lead after 7. (4-1) LSU after 7 innings, trying to take the first 2 and sweep this series. Let's take a look at tonight's Capital One Impact performance.
A whole lot of Jacoby Jones, and it should be based on the night that he's had. 3 hits for Jones tonight. This might have been the most impressive. Looks like just an everyday single, but Jones sees that Max White a little slow to get to it. Ends up a double. Jones would come around to score. 3 hits, 2 singles, a double. A night after his triple in the 8th inning led to the first run and the deciding run for LSU. He's still been hot.
And that was our Capital One Cup impact performance. They'll be up 3rd in this inning. You just got to love guys that hustle. to center field. And White. And Ray Frimes is the first out of the inning. Chris Cotton, the LSU closer, is already up and getting ready. Christian Ibarra and Jacoby Jones ready to hit here in the LSU 8th. Ibarra's averaged down to 318 after an 0-2 night. Grounds this one outside, third foul. We'll look down in the grandstands underneath us.
Oh, they left, but they came back.
Left for 45 minutes because of terribly threatening weather. And in order, marched right back in and sat down for the rest of the ball game. 3-1, fouled out of play. A standing room only record crowd of more than 12,000. We had about 11,500 last night, which was a record then. On the ground, cut off by Carey at third, and throws across to get Ibarra, 2 out. Any ball the third baseman can get to, he's supposed to play. And here's Jacoby Jones. Just can't find a way to get him out. Singled in the second. A hustle double in the fourth. Scored a run. Single in the sixth. Trying to punch their ticket tonight. And they will travel more people than, I guarantee you, any other 7 teams that are in the College World Series. They'll be there in campers and everything else. And this ball's crushed to left. It's gone. Jacoby Jones. He was our impact performer before he did that. His last 5 at-bats, going back to last night, 2 singles, a double, a triple, and a home run.
Well, and think to that at-bat in the 8th inning. It was nothing at that point. Since then, it's been all LSU. The triple started it last night, 4 hits tonight, and this the topper. Jones goes deep for his 4th hit of the night. 5th run of the night for LSU.
And in 5 at-bats, he has hit for the cycle. Well, no wonder you left last night talking about what a great player this kid could be.
Got everything you want to see.
Tell you what, there's a couple of guys you can say that about on this team. I mean, I've been so impressed with Bregman. Now, Jones can run too, can't he?
Like a deer. How about when he stretched that single into a double?
Sir.
And I think that's the thing. Jones playing second base was drafted as a center fielder because they realize you put him out in that spot. I mean, we just saw the power. Obviously, he has that. He's one of the rare 5-tool guys. He shows you the tools that you want to see. I think the question is, can he put them together consistently? Hey, 30 games into the season, he was hitting about $190.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't happening to the point to where they were going to put him on the bench. Since then, he's been on fire.
Yeah, March 31st, I believe he was hitting 188. You can't keep your job hitting 188.
Especially in a condensed season. I mean, it's a 56-game season. At some point, you got to make a move. And Paul Maneri was close. We were here at one point during that season, and he was during this year, and he was very close to making a move. Since then, everything's clicked.
Ty Ross takes that one outside. It's 3-2. Well, LSU in these 2 games against Oklahoma has shown us everything. Starting pitching, relief pitching, hitting for power, hitting for average, defense, you name it. And there's another base hit up the middle by Ross.
Center fielder, number 6,
I guess you don't win 56 out of 65 games without having everything.
No, they're complete. And that's the one thing. And to me, I think there are 4 or 5 clubs that separated themselves. This was clearly one of them. Vanderbilt did. North Carolina did.
Yeah.
I think Cal State Fullerton and Oregon State did. When you look at all of them, North Carolina's 1-0. LSU is 1-0, potentially 2-0 heading their way. But 2 of the other 3 have lost, and the other one's got a chance to lose tonight. It just shows you how tight this game of college baseball is right now.
And don't be shocked by not recognizing the name of a team, somebody that's not normally going to Omaha, to your point. There are good players in a lot of places.
And great stories this year. Indiana to their first Super Regional. They win Game 1 today on a thriller down in Tallahassee. Kansas State to their first Super Regional, and they are ahead on Oregon State late.
Well, the pitching change will update that for you, but right now let's go back to the studio and Matt Schick. Matt? Cal State Fullerton UCLA will be on ESPN2 when we are done here. All the rest of the action you can follow on ESPN3. Jake Fisher will come on for OU, trying to close the door here in the 8th, making his 21st appearance. Strikeout pitcher with 50 and 53 innings.
Yeah, and Fisher was the kid that was going to start Game 3. And I think at this point, if you're Oklahoma, you don't want to leave your best guns down in the bullpen. If you still have a chance, you got to keep LSU at this point, which is why Fisher is on. We saw him warm earlier in this one when Overton got into trouble. Fisher was up and throwing. Now they'll bring him in to try to get him out of the 8th.
Of course, if he doesn't work much, if he can get out of this thing in a hurry, a chance to bring him back tomorrow night if you do.
And I think it's the same mentality. I mean, we'll worry about Game 3 at this point. We get to Game 3. And in the meantime, they got to try to quiet down LSU. 5 runs on the board, single runs in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, and now the 8th.
5-1 LSU over Oklahoma. Tyler Moore will face Fisher. Check it, it'll be Stevenson who came in for defensive purposes. And he will bat in Moore's spot, the 9-hole. Stevenson, a superb outfielder. Another talented freshman for LSU. The procession never seems to stop. Two outs, 1 on in a 5-1 game. Good stop by Hermel, and that ball could have easily gone to the backstop. Breaking pitch in there for a called strike. Another curveball, but this one hangs high. 2-1. Oklahoma desperate to get out of this and take their shots in the bottom of the 8th and the bottom of the 9th. They're going to need 4 to tie. Oklahoma the home team, even though we're playing here in Baton Rouge. Fastball line to center field for a base hit. Runners at first and second with 2 outs. So Stevenson comes through with a ringing single.
First at bat of the night for Stevenson. He stays right on a 2. Left on left, good approach. Front shoulder stays in, keeps it right on it, lines it out to center, and the inning continues.
Alex Edward will be the pinch hitter for McMullen. For more coverage of the Division I baseball tournament and interactive brackets, go to ncaa.com. And there's certainly a lot of action in the first 2 days here of the Super Regionals. He's watching some bullpen action.
He's watching a pretty good one right now.
Fisher with that big looping breaking ball. That one missed on the outside, 1-1. Swing and a miss. Second strike. Got a good look at Craig Aiken down to the left. He'll lead it off in the bottom of the 8th as Oklahoma will have the top of the order up. And they've got some guys who can hit. Struck him out. So McMullen, the DH, pinch hit 4, and there's the strikeout. And Jacoby Jones, 2 singles, a double, and a home run. Not a bad night. The NBA Finals will continue tomorrow on ABC. The Heat and San Antonio. Game 2, 8 o'clock on ABC. Coverage starts at 7:30 with the Kia NBA Countdown. Chris Cotton, the closer, comes in on a dead run from the bullpen. 16 saves in 17 opportunities. He has tied Matty Ott's single season record. In the SEC tournament, as a relief pitcher, he was named the MVP. Had a win, 3 saves, pitched 4 2/3 innings, and retired every guy he faced.
It generally works out well, and all this from a former walk-on. He literally came to walk-on tryouts here at LSU, brought his gloves, said, "I want to play," and he threw 78 miles an hour. And Paul Mainieri said, "You know what? I think he might be able to get some people out someday." Well, that has turned out to be the case, and Cotton now in his senior year, a chance, well, not tonight because it's not a save opportunity, but if they head on to Omaha, his next save would break the single season record, and he has been so good for them.
Not only do you not see closers who throw 78 miles an hour, You don't see pitchers who throw 78 miles an hour.
And he's bumped it up a little. Cotton might show you an 85, 86 at times, but what he doesn't do is throw balls, ever. When Cotton is in the ball game, he's already around the zone. Fastball's there, breaking ball is there, a very good changeup, and a confidence level that is through the roof. And you saw the reaction when he came in.
Yeah.
They know when he comes in, it means one thing. And everybody else that's in that bullpen can take their spikes off at this point, because if Cotton's in there, he's in there to finish.
He is a showman. Looked like a foul ball, but they say fair, and he's gone. No argument. Aiken grounds out for the first out of the inning. So if you're a hitter, you better go up there looking to hit one.
Yeah, he's not going to throw it out of the zone. This one looked like it was going to go foul the whole time, and I think it might have stayed on the line. And a pretty good job right there by Ybarra not to give up on it. Yeah, last bounce on the line. Oh, it was close by the time it got to
I thought the last bounce was
I think the last bounce might have been off the line.
I think the first look I had at it was correct. And it also looked like the third baseman screened the third base umpire. Not sure Mike Conlon, who did a brilliant job behind the plate last night, got a great look at that, but they said it was still fair. This ball hit down the right field line and caught at the track by Laird. He's going to run down anything.
Center fielder in center, center fielder in right. And Laird that time off the bat, that looked like a double, no doubt. They're getting a little love from those down the right field line, and he should.
But we've seen how good Laird is. Can you imagine how good Stevenson is if he goes into center for him?
I mean, this combination, and we've talked about defensively how good LSU is. A lot of it is because they're starting three shortstops in the infield. One at third, one at short, and one at second. And they're starting two center fielders in the outfield right now. Laird can go get it.
Max White takes a breaking ball for a called strike. 2 out, nobody on. They're going to ask Cotton for a 2-inning save. Changeup for strike 2. Muscled up on that one at 81.
Tried to wrap a slider around his feet.
There's so much to be said for belief and a can-do attitude, and Cotton certainly has that in spades. He certainly looks like he's given it everything he's got. He's not leaving anything in the tank.
No, especially not in this setting. And you know, in the back of his mind, he knows that if LSU wins this one, it's the last time he'll take the mound at this ballpark.
A ball and 2 strikes to White. If he gets White for the 3rd out of the inning, that means Oberste would come up to lead off the 9th, and that's exactly where LSU wants him, as the leadoff man, not up there with anybody on base. Cotton did not pitch in last night's game. They didn't need him. They won it 2-0. As Nola went the whole way. On the ground is short. Bregman, who's been a vacuum, throws him out. Cotton does his job. 1, 2, 3. We have played 8 full at Baton Rouge. 5-1 LSU.
To advance on the road to Omaha, every pitch, every at-bat counts. Don't miss out. Live coverage of the College World Series begins June 15th on ESPN, ESPN2, and Watch ESPN.
Oklahoma trying to make its first College World Series appearance since 2010. They're going to need a big ninth inning to do that. LSU, first College World Series appearance since 2009 when they won the championship. And they're already starting to party in Baton Rouge. Laird, Bregman, and Katz to hit here in the ninth for LSU. Fisher's ahead quickly, 0-2. Laird has 2 hits on the night. He's also hit by a pitch. Off the fists and out of play. One and two from Fisher, hit toward third and booted. Been a tough night for the Oklahoma defense. It's an error on Garrett Carey, who's an excellent defensive third baseman.
Yeah, I think it's one of those too where the speed makes you speed up a little bit defensively. You know who's running? It's Laird from the left side. He can get down the line, and Carey just tried to make that transfer a little bit too quick.
Now Bregman, who broke his 0-for streak the last time up with a double. He had been 0-for-7 here in the Super Regional. In the air to right, could be trouble, and it drops. Alspa, who plays very, very deep, kept coming in and couldn't get there.
We talked about how deep Alspa's been playing out in right field, and this time it got him. Earlier yesterday, it saved what probably would have been a double in the gap by Mason Katz, but this time can't get there in time. So back-to-back base runners on here for LSU. Laird reaches on an error, and now Bregman on a single to right.
And he's still back there, just a few steps from the track. Two on, nobody out from Mason Katz. Popped up. Alspa with a long run will make this catch and then make his throw to third. He made it close. But Laird is in there. Katz will get the big ovation.
You will see that for Rhymes as well. Two seniors who came back for this moment right here. Neither one of them have played in Omaha, and they came back just to do it once.
You want to send them off in style. Rhymes has a walk and a single tonight. Oklahoma, of course, still has visions of mounting a comeback in the bottom of the ninth. They've got to hold it here at 5-1. Sonny Galloway coming out to talk about it. Evans in the pen, the left-handed closer.
It wouldn't surprise me if they go to Evans. Evans just a freshman, and he has been outstanding at the back end of the Oklahoma bullpen this year. But if you're Sonny Galloway, Part of you might be thinking forward, too, to get him in an environment like this, hoping that obviously you get the opportunity in years to come. And Evans isn't just playing catch down there. He's definitely heating up, and it looks like it from
He certainly couldn't face a more intimidating crowd anywhere.
No, and I think that's part of it. I think it would make sense, too, to get him in this spot just to try to get something to look ahead, because Evans is going to be a big part of this Oklahoma team for the next 2 years.
And he will come in and take over with runners at first and third and one out. We'll check out his numbers when we come back. We are in the ninth. It's so close they can almost taste it. A 2-game sweep would send them to Omaha. And hoping against hope, Oklahoma trying to shut down LSU here in the ninth and get their hacks in the bottom of the inning and mount a comeback. And they've sent closer Jacob Evans into the ball game with runners at first and third and one out to face Rafe Rhymes.
We talked about Evans, the freshman who has been outstanding at the back end of this Oklahoma bullpen. ERA below 2, 9 saves on the season, on for the 30th time. Just 9 walks in 52 innings for a kid that they think could potentially be a starter down the road, too. This year they needed him at the back end of the bullpen, and he's done a great job when called upon.
Alex Bregman, by the way, set a freshman record with that last base hit. He's had 104 this year. There are going to be a few records fall by the wayside by the time he's done. That kid is all business. He's all ball player. Inside the bag at third, down the line. 1 run will score. Runners at second and third. Rafe Rhymes showing a lot of emotion on that one. As he drives in another run. And they are going to pinch run for Rafe Rhymes so he can get the ovation from the home crowd. What a touch of class this is. Chris Shambra will come in, and Rhymes gets the standing O. Well, just something special about college ball, isn't there?
See, the first guy to come out and meet him, too, it was Katz.
Yeah.
He and Katz right out in front of the dugout.
Rhymes went to the coaches, gave up his scholarship money, and said, you can give this to somebody else if it will help you get another player to help us get back to Omaha. That's pretty good.
We had talked about it before. Every class, every 4-year class since 1986 has been to the College World Series, and this was the last shot for Katz and the last shot for Rhymes, and they're now 3 outs away from doing just that.
Christian Ibarra pops it up on the infield. Playable for the first baseman Oberste. 2 out. Well, if that's your last hit in an LSU uniform at home, that's the way to do it, isn't it?
Not a bad way to go out.
And now the guy that can't get out, Jacoby Jones. Singled in the second, doubled in the fourth. 11 total bases in the Super Regional. Oklahoma as a team has 8. Singled in the 6th, homered in the 8th. And now Crowd doesn't like it, but this is smart.
First base open and this guy up.
Either that or I'd roll 4 in there to him. They used to say it about Stan Musial. The only way to get him out, throw 4 low and behind him and then pick him off first base. And that may be the only way to get Jones out tonight.
It is tonight.
He has reached base 6 straight at-bats going back to last night. And Oklahoma's going to make another pitching change. Well, you don't give up. You play to the very end and you coach to the very end.
Absolutely. And that's what they're doing right here. I think part of it, they wanted to get the freshman Evans into the game, but now you want to play matchups and at least keep yourself at this spot. It is quite an uphill battle at this point, but with the bases loaded, you get out of this one, you still got a shot.
Here's Rafe Rhymes' last at bat, presumably at home for LSU. He ripped it inside the bag at third. Remember, this is a kid whose batting average fell some 100 points this year. And he's just hung in there. Hasn't shown a lot of emotion since we've been here, but he did on that one, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think it's 1-2. I mean, we saw Katz's reaction when he came out of the game. We saw Rhymes' reaction when he came out of the game. And obviously these guys realize that if they win tonight, this is it. It'll be the last time that they will play in this setting. And I think it hits you when you come off in a spot like that.
Well, good for them. That's the way to go out. There's no doubt about that. And Mason Katz tweeted this earlier, kind of sad to me, but very true. I want my last game ever at Alex Box to be tonight. 1 win away, 1 team, 1 goal, win the day. And they want to go back to Omaha. And right now, their bags are almost packed.
Yep.
Kendall Ladd will come on to face a bases loaded situation. And Ty Ross will come to the plate with 2 outs. It's already 6-1. And OU right now, their hopes are running on fumes. I mean, if you're Kendall Ladd, you're thinking 1 of 2 things. Thanks a lot, or I'm going to show you what I can do.
I think that's another one of the reasons why he's in there. You want to figure out which one it is right now if you're Sonny Galloway.
Ross singled his last time up, swings over the top of an 80-mile-an-hour pitch. That's low, 1-1. It's a tough situation to come in. There's no place to put him. You can't afford to give up another hit.
Oh, and this is what you're facing. 26 times they have been to Omaha, 7 times to this spot in Supers.
That
15
one's
times
low.
to Omaha, excuse me, 26 times into the postseason trying to win their 7th national title.
And that last championship was Paul Maneri's.
Yeah, back in 09.
He will be inducted into the Baseball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in January, and boys, he earned that. Line drive center field. It will drop for a base hit, and 2 runs are going to score. Everybody getting to celebrate here at Alex Box Stadium, Skip Bertman Field. Not if you're wearing that color, however. 8-1 Tigers. Three unearned runs in the inning. Stevenson will get to hit for the second time. Singled his last time up. This one will go to the screen, and another run will score. A wild pitch gets Jacoby Jones home, and it's 9-1. And we will go to the bullpen one more time. Eventually, there's not going to be anybody left down there. 9-1. Back in a moment. Has lasted long enough so that the closer Cotton, who came in the last inning, had to go down to the pen and heat up again. Although on a nice, warm, humid Baton Rouge summer evening, I don't know how long it was supposed to take him. And this is the new pitcher, Adam Choplick.
This was a starter a lot of the year for OU. Choplick, for the most part this year, has worked as a starter. 11 appearances, 10 of those were starts. 17 walks in 33 2/3, but he does have over a strikeout an inning. Jonathan Gray looks on. Obviously, his future is incredibly bright. The 3rd overall pick by the Colorado Rockies, a guy that should rocket through their system once he gets into pro ball.
Two balls, no strikes to Stevenson. He lines it to center field. Another base hit. And another run. And the hits just keep on a-coming. Alex Edward for his second at-bat in the ball game. He came on as a pinch hitter, takes a big hack there. Another senior playing his final game here at Alex Box. Boy, Choplick's a big, tall drink of water, isn't he?
Yeah, he can get it going, too. 89-90 already from the left side. Just a redshirt freshman. So Choplick will be back next year. And the future is bright for this OU program. Harmelin, a freshman, back behind home plate. Craig Aiken, the left fielder, a freshman.
LSU has batted around here in the 9th. And have run the lead up to 10-1. Three balls and 2 strikes with a runner at first, 2 outs. And Laird waiting on deck, who got this whole thing started by reaching out an error. Into the gap in left center field. The senior comes through. The throw misses the cutoff man, and another run scores. And they're going to take the senior out so he can get his ovation. Smiles all around. His teammates come out to greet him. Casey Yoakum is on to pinch run. And Laird comes up for the second time in the inning. For Edward, that was his 9th RBI of the entire season. What a thrill. You know, guys who don't get to play all the time really have to bust their fannies and practice and scrimmages and everything else, go through all the drills just like the starters do, and to see them get an opportunity to play is really neat.
And to get a hand like that, yeah, after spending the amount of time that he has here, and
he'll never forget that.
No, absolutely not.
Remember that till he breathes his last. On the corner for a called strike. 2 balls and a strike.
There's one more senior that'll try to get the last 3 outs of this one.
How do you get him his due? I mean, do you get the first 2 outs and then take him out?
You know, it wouldn't shock me. But I think if you ask him, he would rather get his due by getting those last 3 outs and maybe being on the bottom of a dog pile.
Called strike 3. Good breaking ball. The inning mercifully is over. But LSU has virtually put it away. They're up 11-1. They're anticipating 3 more outs in the celebration that will lead them to Omaha, Nebraska. But they got to take care of business here in the bottom of the 9th. It's 11-1. Chris Shambra has come in to play left field for Rafe Rhymes. Remember, they took him out so he could get the ovation. Dusty Dishman has gone in to catch. Ball's popped up on the infield. Katz will make the catch. Excuse me, that was Dishman as the pinch hitter. And he pops out for the first out of the inning. Pinch hitter is going to be Colby Carpenter, who takes a strike from Cotton. Fouls that one away. 0-2. From Cotton's motion, he looks like he's throwing 92, and from the results, he looks like he's throwing 92. That was chopped to third. He bar across the diamond. 2 gone. One out left. And this club will go back to Omaha, Nebraska. Dylan Neal will be the last gasp for Oklahoma as he's a pinch hitter. One strike away. Well, they have been spectacular in this Super Regional, haven't they, Kyle?
Yes, they have.
They will be a worthy opponent in Omaha for anybody. And most of the experts and most of the polls say this is the #1 team in the country.
We played that part the entire season. They, Vanderbilt, North Carolina, right at the top, but they show you everything.
Just missed for the fastball. Got to admire the home plate umpire, Heath Jones. That would have been easy to ring him up, but he thought it was a ball, so he called it that way. I think the umpiring here has been sensational.
It's been very good. It's been very good.
Especially the ball and strike calls. Here's the 2-2. Popped up. And it's over. And the coaching staff is praying that nobody gets hurt in the dog pile. Oklahoma's season is over. LSU becomes the first team to clinch a spot in the field of 8 in Omaha, Nebraska. LSU will now wait for everybody else. Cal State, Fullerton, UCLA playing game 2. Game 2 still to come from North and South Carolina and from NC State and Rice. LSU will play either Fullerton or UCLA as we start the College World Series in Omaha. You can catch game 2 from Fullerton coming up next here on ESPN2. For all of us in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in this Super Regional, thanks for watching, everybody. This is Mike Patrick. Good night.